Welcome to episode 50 of Slice and Dice Dreadcast. That's right, episode 50, folks. We hit the halfway to 100 milestone. I'm Joey Colombo here from Brooklyn, New York, with my co-host, as always, J Mac.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody?
To his right, Mr. Venom, Jerry Cortez.
Greetings and salutations, my friends.
And to his left, coming from Castle Rock, Maine, Mr. Bill Casanelli.
Hey-o, how's everybody doing?
We're doing well tonight. It's 10:50 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard, and we are going to discuss some movies that take place on the Western Seaboard, where Mr. Venom is residing from. The three of us are over here on the East, and up tonight, we got some West Coast films, like I mentioned. 1993's Hughes Brothers classic, Menace to Society, and the 1995 college campus flick, Higher Learning. Was that like a little Morgan Freeman that it turned into right there?
Morgan Freeman meets Bill Shatner.
Yes. Mr. Venom.
Yes, sir.
How do you do, Saya?
Damn good, damn good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I know you just did an episode. You want to plug that on a recent release?
Yeah. On No More Room in Hell's sister podcast, Fresh Cuts. Mike Merriman, myself, Lacey Liu from Cut to the Chase, and Brandon Young from The Anatomy of Fear. We discussed the recently released horror remake, Pet Sematary.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know Bill's looking forward to that one. Real quick, just a two-sentence initial thought on that film.
Unnecessary remakes are unnecessary.
Ooh.
Okay, real quick. It's not a bad movie. It's not good. It's not bad. It just exists. It's kind of middle of the road. I'm seeing a lot of people who really, really love it. I'm seeing a lot of people who really, really hate it. So it's not a polarizing movie by any stretch. But for me personally, and most of the people that were on the cast with us for Fresh Cuts, it was just kind of middle of the road. Like none of us really recommended seeing it in theaters. It's a red box rental at best.
So like the Psycho remake.
It's not quite that bad, thankfully, because that's one that I desperately hated. Like I just did not like the Psycho the whole shot for shot thing. Just that's not how you do a remake.
Yeah, that's definitely not how you do a remake Cabin Fever.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, there you go. Double whammy for you because you already have a bias on the Pet Sematary. Do you want to talk about that?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I've already biased. Yeah.
You're biased? Right. Oh, man. I thought you only did the straight videos.
Well, Bill's definitely a bigger King fan than I am, so he may enjoy it, honestly.
No, I am a King fan. In fact, I read the book when it came out, 83-ish?
Mm-hmm.
I
was busy
book.
being born that year.
I was 14.
Swimming around like, look who's talking.
So, yeah, I dug the book. The movie came out in 89, Mary Lambert.
Yes.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly like the book, but it was great. Then on Facebook one day, I'm sitting there, and you know how Facebook, they don't allow you to go anywhere without seeing videos going. I was trying to avoid the friggin' trailer. I knew what was going to be in the book is going to be in the movie. So I was like, whatever. So I'm letting it go. And they showed a huge spoiler in the trailer.
Yeah, one of the biggest culprits of a spoiler in a trailer I've ever seen.
Dude.
And what's funny is that I've actually spoken to a lot of people who are like, that's not a spoiler, big deal. They made a little switcheroo. I'm like, that's a major spoiler because every single person watching the new one is expecting a certain thing.
Right.
And if we would not have seen that trailer and we didn't see the movie poster, it literally would have been one of the most shocking moments of 2019 horror cinema.
Right.
You know, it would have been the equivalent of Charlie losing her head in Hereditary.
Right.
It just would have been like just a shocking moment that totally blew us all away. Even the way that the scene is shot, which I won't get into too much detail, but even the way the scene was shot, it would have been such an awesome reveal, but they ruined it with that
Yeah.
trailer. So too bad.
And the fact that they force fed me this trailer on Facebook
Mhm.
without any fucking, just here, look at this.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's too
ruined it.
bad. And that is why I now am no longer watching trailers.
I never do.
Yeah, I
don't
joined the
watch
Dave
it.
Z Club. Yeah, I'm done.
When it's something that I really want to see, like Us, I went in there knowing literally absolutely nothing. I was
Nice.
just blown away because I didn't know anything. But that trailer again reveals some stuff that if you go in blind, you can just be holy shitted versus knowing they're gonna come, right?
No, it's
And-
true.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and the Pet Cemetery trailer I watched very curiously, and the first one didn't reveal that, and I was cool with it. But then the one that I saw during Us gave the reveal, and I was like, "Are you fucking
And again, you're force fed the trailer because you're seeing another movie, right?
It's crazy?" Like literally, take that one scene out of the trailer, and it would have worked perfectly.
I agree. Had I not known, I'd love it.
Yeah, that scene would have been epic if we didn't know going into it. That's
And
too
I
bad.
love John Lithgow.
So do I.
Maybe
I-
the thought process was this: people know it's going to come anyway, so like, let's just throw it at them. So when they start the film, they got to sit there and wait. I mean, it
Yeah,
probably
that
happens
seems
in
silly.
by the first third, by the end of
The
first.
filmmakers probably looked at it the same way as that one person I was talking to, where they were like, "Oh, it's not really a spoiler. It's just a plot, like a plot point." I'm like, that's the sheer definition of a fucking spoiler. It's a plot
Yeah.
point given away in the trailer, for God's sakes. So I don't know. It was basically, just going back and forth with this person, and obviously they're not going to see it my way. I'm not going to see it theirs.
Right,
So
right.
whatever.
J-Mac, you want to chime in on this topic before we switch out?
I honestly never watched the trailer for it. I don't even remember the last time I saw original Pet Cemetery.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
So
That's good.
I
You
don't.
might like the
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I mean, I my son wants to see it, and I just been too busy to go check it out since it came out. But
Oh,
you know,
let me add something, guys.
Sure.
Sorry. The new issue of Rue Morgue has an interview with John Lithgow,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Yeah, he was friends with Fred Gwynn," and he
Nice.
says, "I never read the book, never saw the movie, but I decided to do the piece because of his friend." And he goes, "I'm not going to do a Mainer accent in this one," and I'm like, "What?"
No.
The whole point of Judd was to be like, "Oh yeah."
And there's even a line in the movie where Judd says, "I've lived in that house my entire life, born, raised, grew old." Yet he sounds like he's from fucking, I don't know, L.A.
Yeah.
Like he has no accent whatsoever. It's just John
Right.
Lithgow. And even though Fred Gwynn's accent was a little silly, it still gave the character a little bit of hominess, a little bit
Right.
of
Right,
like a
heart.
down home. Yes, character,
me
heart. Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Whereas this one, it just felt like Lithgow was just reading lines.
Yes, and that's exactly why I don't want to see it. That
Yeah, I don't
and the
blame you.
spoiler. And also, I love Starry Eyes. I know it's
Yes.
the guys who did that. In
Mhm.
fact, they had the Stephen King's radio station had a big premiere like last Tuesday or Wednesday, and I didn't go. And they had the directors here, and they had one of the cats who played church with the tie
Yes.
on.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought
didn't
you were
go.
talking about an actor because you watch these movies and your lingo changed. One of these cats. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Oh.
like 4 cats playing the same cat.
Three.
But,
Yep.
3, whatever. But yeah, I didn't want to go.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I still think you should see it. I don't know that you need to spend money to see it.
Right, exactly. I
Yeah.
will see it,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to pay.
Yeah,
Yar.
it sucks too because I'm one of those guys that's always telling people in the horror community, go out, support horror releases when they're in theaters. The only way we're going to get more of them is if we support, some of the
Yeah.
lesser quality ones. And you guys know me. I'll go see anything that's playing in a theater. And I live in LA, so I've got all those little independent theaters too, showing like indie horror. So I see something in the theater at least once or twice a week. And
No kids, no
yeah,
kids.
exactly. Free time and dispensable income. What a wonderful thing.
You and Willis Wheeler. Willis Wheeler's like, I can't believe nobody went out there and watched this movie Hellfest. Everybody wants to complain, and
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, we brought that up.
dude, I got kids. What are you nuts?
And that's what I said in Fresh Cuts. I basically said that financial reasons, that's valid, but if you're a horror fanatic, like pretty much any of us are, and a horror movie comes out and you can afford to go see it and you got the free time, why are you not going?
Yeah.
So I mean, Willis has a point, because movies like Hellfest and Overlord were not supported in theaters, and they were both fucking great. And it's too bad.
I half agree.
I know how you feel about Hellfest.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I prefer Bloodfest myself, but I still did enjoy Hellfest.
All right.
I did hate that ending, though. God, I hated that ending.
I loved it.
Oh yeah, a dad would love that ending.
Did you see that movie, J-Mac, Hellfest?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should
all
see
right.
it. You're a dad.
Yeah.
It's a nice contemporary slasher.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll check it out eventually.
What about this American Horror Story 1984? Anybody know anything about
Yeah,
that?
that I'm excited about.
The only problem I
Yeah.
have is that Evan Peters is not in it. He's like the best actor they've got on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw the poster for it.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I'll take it. 80s slasher, I'm in.
Oh hell yeah, I'm totally there. I'm gonna watch it regardless. It does suck that Evan's not gonna be there. I thought the season, what season was it? Cult, I think, right? The season with the election. I thought he was amazing. He should have gotten an Emmy for that season.
Multiple characters too. Yeah.
Oh God, his Charles Manson and his David Koresh. Yeah, those were great. Yeah, how he didn't get even an Emmy nomination is beyond me, but whatever. What do I know?
Anyway,
same reason Toni Collette didn't get an Oscar nomination, and in the same way that Lupita Nyong'o is not going to get a nomination next year because they don't give a shit about
hate.
Sorry, I'm going off on a rant.
No, it's okay. That's what the point of the show is, baby. Rant away. So, what else is going on? Anything else before we get into our featured discussions?
Just let me plug, man. I was on my cousin's podcast this past week. The TNT Dynamite podcast. I jumped on with my cousin Tones and his boy Tom, and it's a fun little fucking show they got there. And we did.
I get it. TNT, nice.
Yeah, you see how that works? Fucking. Nah, we they do this whole segments thing and all kinds of crazy shit. We talked about our favorite Tom Hanks movies, and then Tom dropped the question of how would they change the plot if Jason Voorhees was in them.
That's awesome.
And then we did some Game of Thrones talk because Tom has just watched the entire series of Game of Thrones in like the last 2 months.
Good for him.
Cousin's been watching it since the beginning, and I've been watching it since then too. So we did some the hopes and expectations for this final season coming up.
So why don't we do a little experiment?
Yeah,
why don't we do an experiment? Why don't we? So Game of Thrones comes out this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And I have never seen any of it, and I don't know shit about it.
Wow.
So why don't I just watch the season 8 thing so you guys could talk about it and I could ask you a million questions? Like,
this is a weird show to binge because there's so much information. There's so many characters. I would question, like, somebody who binges 7 seasons of this show in 2 months. I would question how much they actually retained. Like, does he understand what family does what they're known for, their history?
He's pretty sharp. Him and my cousin, they've been doing like a segment while he's been binging it because they put out a show like once a week.
Oh, okay.
And they have a segment where he kind of tells you about whatever he had watched. So it goes back like, the last 8 episodes or so. They do a little thing about it. I guess
that's cool. If he
like
gets an opportunity to talk about it, then
but like even on the show, he was saying like, I found myself like, all right, just one more before I go to bed,
Sure.
How many of those episodes it's like you really want to stop now,
Mm-hmm.
Fucking end up watching like a whole season in a day.
Yep.
Yeah. See, that's too much for me. I like to let my shows soak in for a little bit, let that, because I'll give you an example. Stranger Things season 1, I watched it episode by episode. I did not binge it, and I absolutely loved it. I was able to retain all the information. Season 2, my wife and I were so excited about it that we partially binged it. We did like a half a season the first day, and then we finished it another day. And it felt like it went by too quick. Like I didn't feel like I had any time with these new characters. Poor Bob. Bob was a flash to me. It's like he's alive 1 minute, he's gone the next. It's like, what the
John
fuck?
Aston, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so I think I might not binge TV shows anymore. I think I'm gonna
I'm with you 100%, man.
yeah, I don't necessarily need to spread it out 1 episode a week, but like at least 1 episode a day. Like let it soak in overnight so I can, and that'll let me know too if I really like the show. Because when I binge shows, it's like once I'm 3 or 4 episodes in, I just want to finish it.
I'm with you, bro. Yo, I did Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and they're short and sweet, and I binged them, and asked me questions about it, and like, I don't know. I literally would have to watch it again between.
I'm the same way. It's like, what episode was that? I don't remember. No. Like the Sopranos, we do that good on the Horror Mafia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do that right. Absolutely.
Once an episode, which will now be every 2 weeks because Horror Mafia is moving every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that's official. And, you get to really savor it. I mean, I end up watching them twice because it's like my fucking, you know how I am already, people. But what I wanted to mention was, before we get to things, I got to plug this show called The Act on Hulu. About the Dee Dee Blanchard murder by her daughter Gypsy Rose. And I think I might have mentioned it either on this or Mafia. I don't remember. But, dude, I am halfway through. It's absolutely amazing. Like, from the song choices and the lyrics in the song that have deeper meaning to staging that has symbolism in it. Oh, my gosh. Camera angles, colors, alternative meanings. It's fucking awesome. So do yourself a favor if you're a true crime fan and you know about this case especially, you got to see this program. Patricia Arquette as Dee Dee Blanchard, because she's going to get an Emmy for it. Guarantee you she's going to at least get nominated.
Yeah. I don't know.
Did you see it?
No, but I'm saying people we like don't win Emmys.
Yeah.
No,
Netflix doesn't get money.
Arquette is we like her, yeah, but she also is on the other side of the fence as well, too. Mm-hmm. She's not like considered just a horror actress.
Oh no,
she's iconic from 3, but what else really? Stigmata.
Yeah. I know. I agree.
That movie.
I'd like to revisit it actually.
Stigmata.
I don't. I saw it when I was like 14 years old. It came out in 98.
I think so. Yeah, I saw it in theaters because that trailer looked so good, and was not happy.
Oh, you know what I want to revisit? End of Days.
I love that.
I haven't
love that.
Yeah, what's her name is End of Days?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's about Patricia Arquette? I noticed on Medium that she has like man hands.
Who?
Patricia Arquette.
Yo, I watched that Seinfeld episode like last week. Man hands.
It's like she has pretty big fucking hands for a chick. Didn't notice in True Romance when she's fucking beating Tony to death with the shotgun, but fucking still.
She gained weight though, huh?
Yeah, they all do.
She's on that show. What's that show? Medium?
Medium, yeah.
How do you call it large?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Hey, we all get bigger as we age.
I know.
That's for sure.
Just not where it counts.
No, that just fucking, it doesn't get bigger, it just falls lower. Gravity. On that note, let's get into our featured films today. Then, not our fucking banter. That was some fun shit chatting, fellas. Slicing and dicing. What are we calling it again? The chopping block?
The chopping block, I think you decided on.
Yeah. Fucking. Ah, boy, oh boy. All right, let's get into it. Coming from IMDb, 1993's Menace to Society. Take it over, Billy Cha-Cha.
A young street hustler attempts to escape the rigors and temptations of the ghetto in a quest for a better life.
What did you say? Attempt to escape the what?
In the ghetto.
The what?
In the ghetto.
Yo, dick.
So, all right. I want to know Bill's initial thoughts, but J-Mac, these are your picks. Let's get your initial thoughts.
Oh, Menace, man. This movie, you know, I was too young to have seen it in the theaters, but I remember when it first made it onto cable. So I was probably, you know, 11-ish, 12 maybe by the time I seen it. And it was one of those movies that when it made cable, like if you were one of my friends that saw it, you were like considered kind of cool. Like you knew about Menace to Society, you know? As a kid, just the violence in it, I thought it was awesome. Like I loved it. I didn't even look any deeper into it then. It's has my favorite opening scene probably in any movie ever. Is that liquor store scene.
It's a good one.
You know? And then just everything. Samuel Jackson's part as his father and just everything about this movie I love since I was, you know, 11.
Since you were a young boy transitioning into a young teenager. And that's when he started packing heat.
Yep. Just doing hood rat stuff with my friends.
Yeah. All right. Jerry, what is your experience with Menace to Society?
This was not a theater watch for me. I probably saw this the next year when it hit home video. For the most part, these inner city gang movies of the 90s were, you know, for the most part, they were really good. They're not really my kind of thing. They don't really speak to me. I mean, you know, I'm a Spaniard from Connecticut, so I know nothing of thug life and gang warfare and things like that. So I mean, and I was still on the East Coast when I saw this movie, so this was definitely very foreign to me. I now have lived in Los Angeles 20 years, almost 20 years now, so I see a little bit more, but it's definitely calmed down. You know, like I've driven through Compton a few times. It doesn't look like Boys in the Hood or, you know, Menace to Society with thugs at every corner, packing heat, blah blah blah. You know, I know it's a movie, so it's a minor exaggeration, but
I could vouch for that, Cortez.
Oh yeah,
I've been to Compton.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yo, me, Ant-Man, Sally, and little Danny Ball. We were in fucking Compton.
Oh man.
We went
and you survived.
Yeah, just a quick story. We were out in LA, right? And we were going to a fish festival. And so we took 2 days in LA and we fucking Google a Target. You know, it said it was in like, it might have just said Los Angeles. It didn't say, you know, where it was. So we're driving to Target. We're like, yo, what the? Everybody's staring at us. We're walking around Target. We're cashing out. Ant starts counting his money. And this lady's like, I don't think you want to take all your money out like that. And Ant's like, listen, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Nobody's going to touch my fucking money. We rolled through Compton, bro. I went into the store, picked up some rollies. It was definitely an experience, and it definitely looked like the movies, the buildings and the colors, like those peach homes that like stucco outside. It really did look like that. It was an experience, bro. Because you know I'm fucking in the hood every day, bro. You know what I mean? I work in the hood. I live in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So, you know. Me and J-Mac, you know, we're from Brooklyn, bro. We've done really stupid things. So this movie definitely resonates with us. Like, I remember us being fucking kids, like, before doing any kind of drugs or anything, like 10 years old and shit, 11 years old, like, hiding behind the fucking shit and throwing rocks at the fucking city buses driving by, you know? Like, live next to the highway and throwing water balloons on the cars coming into the fucking highway, like, we did stupid shit. We were kids, you know. We were hanging out on the streets all day. Eventually, we did a lot more stupid things, but ultimately, we didn't, you know, live that life. Obviously, where we were fucking, you know, packing heat all day and that lifestyle, you know, which is a real deal thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you need to carry a gun on you to protect yourself to a degree. I mean, you don't need to. Everybody has a choice in life. That's a discussion we're going to have, I guarantee. But to just fade into my initial thoughts, I didn't have a theater experience. I was way too young. But, oh, man, when I saw this movie as a, you know, later, I wasn't a full-blown adult, but I was already mature enough to definitely and experienced, you know, where, like I said, you know, doing work, if you know what I mean, where it kind of was like, yeah, all right, old dog, you sick motherfucker. He's like your id that runs wild, as a teenager. And I mean, think about it. He was a lot younger than Kane, right? So
yeah, he was still a minor technically. I mean, Kane just graduated high school.
yeah,
And Old Dog was still a minor.
He was a minor, like he had to be 15 or younger. So you're living that life young, and it's not a fucking as the movie depicts, not a fucking nice lifestyle to live, man, where you're gonna fucking have to worry about your life every day, but unfortunately, especially in the 90s, and Jerry, you made a great point. In the 90s, these movies, they were coming out and they were fucking solid, bro. I mean, I haven't seen New Jack City in years, but when I was a kid, I used to hit the off button on the remote all the time. And I remember that was like 91, so I must have been like 7 or 8 years old watching New Jack City. Like, this movie is nuts. So like, I definitely was into these kind of movies, and I remember like, and then Don't Be a Menace came out, and that shit, and that that shows you that this is a piece of Americana, right?
Absolutely. Anything that gets parodied like that, absolutely.
And as far as the film goes, I think it's a great film. I wouldn't go as far as a Godfather-esque film, but a well-made film, a tragedy at its true core, and it for me it still holds up. So initial thoughts are hell yeah, Menace to Society, bro. Let's kick it over to BC, Bill Castanelli.
All right. First time watch for me. I gotta say, first initial thought was, who directed this? It was the Hughes brothers, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I'm like, is this their first film?
I believe so.
I kind of thought the movie was really, really sophomoric shot, like not shot well. And I'm like, I don't really like any of the characters in this movie. I didn't relate to anybody. Didn't give a shit about anybody. And I was like, I hate the music. So already I'm just like, all right. But I want to give respect to the Hughes brothers. They made From Hell. That fucking movie based on a comic book was amazing. With Johnny Depp hunting Jack the Ripper. Mm-hmm. That was great.
Yeah, that was a lot better anyway.
Yeah. So I'm like, these are the same guys? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this was their first movie, and From Hell was 8 years after this.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is like, I thought they graduated later. And this one, it's like some guys, some friends, some fake guns, cars. All right, whatever.
I agree with you in one point that I think it's the editing that is an issue for me, where there'll be a scene and it'll fade and you kind of left a little hanging, and they pick up like later, and it's like, dude, but I want to know how you got to that next part, kind of deal.
I agree. The ending was really weird.
Issue with it. I think it's a great film regardless, and I think the character. I mean, O-Dog is one of the most evil motherfucking characters.
I thought Chauncey was more evil.
Chauncey was an asshole, but O-Dog was, like he says in the movie, America's Nightmare, young, black, and just don't give a fuck.
Yes,
and he's a psychopath. And I mean, just that opening scene, what you say about my mama, and he blows that fucking guy's head off.
Yeah, I didn't. You
takes the wife to the back and fucking kills her.
I didn't like the opening scene because of the fact that, for one, they were mad that she was following them around, right? Well, why was she following them around? Because of stereotypes, right? So why did they have to pursue the stereotype?
I know no one likes to be stereotyped,
but then they did the stereotype,
right?
So it's like, whatever.
I'm with J-Mac. I did enjoy that opening scene, mainly because as a kid in his early 20s in Connecticut, I never experienced anything like that. So that scene for me just came out of nowhere. I was absolutely shocked that he just, he basically just misunderstood something that the store owner said and just blasted him. And I'm just like, wow. Like, I had an idea that people like that actually existed, and I understand that the actor himself isn't O-Dog. I totally understand this, but it's just to see it on celluloid. It opens your eyes to like, holy shit, if they put this on film, then it must be happening fairly regularly over there. So, like I said, it was a shocking enough scene that it grabbed my attention and it kept it for the whole movie. So I'll definitely give it that. The movie kept my attention. It definitely taught me a lot about that whole lifestyle that I know nothing about. And for whatever it's worth, the performances I thought were, really, really good. I'm not sure if any of those guys were like thugs, in their youth. So maybe they had experience acting like that, or if that was truly, just a bunch of actors who'd never lived that lifestyle. But either way, I thought they did a pretty good job. Convinced me anyway. I was convinced that every single one of them at some point was a thug, shooting each other in the street, whatever. But like I said, I also lean with Bill in the sense that, Bill and I are heavy metal guys. When this thing was being advertised as brand new, you had hip hop songs in the trailer, you had an all black cast, and it just didn't really speak to us at the time.
Correct.
Especially when you're that young, you don't appreciate good cinema. If it's something outside of your comfort zone, whatever. So yeah, whereas I would go see stuff like, Trick or Treat, the Gene Simmons, Ozzy Osbourne one,
86,
my other Hispanic friends and Black friends would be going to see stuff like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. So like I said, I never really watched a lot of that kind of stuff when it was new, but I've picked up on it since then. I eventually did see almost all of them. I think Poetic Justice is the only one that I haven't actually seen. But for the most part, these are all fairly good films. They're fairly well made. I agree with Joey that the editing kind of suffers at times, and there are certain scenes that you can tell were just, it looks like it was edited by a film school,
yes,
kid,
right,
student.
like kids learning,
because it looks like stuff that I edited in school. Like I'm an audio engineer by trade, but I also had to take some video production courses while I was at school. And yeah, like I made a music video my first year there, and the editing looks a lot like what you'll see in something like a Menace to Society or something that's like poorly edited.
Like,
because you do
that classic like
Deathgasm,
like classic fade out to a black screen
exactly.
and scene,
fade out, weird swish pans, weird transitions. I mean, yeah, we all thought we were Martin Scorsese, but in all actuality, we were Eli Roth. So whatever.
Oh.
I hate that guy. That's a discussion for another episode, though.
Oh shit! But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen this film, and again. When I was growing up, I was into all different kinds of music, but eventually I fell into rock, mostly metal, punk, ska, Fish, The Dead, all that shit. But at the same time, I also fucking loved hip hop too. Like I was submerged in hip hop culture, regardless. So again, when you're growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and in the 90s, Biggie is a fucking staple of your life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why I can agree with that.
Juicy is fucking, like your fucking anthem, bro.
Yeah, like J-Mac said, he was 11 when he saw it. So I think if I were 11, I might have liked it. I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying it's what you're growing up with, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like me and Bill maybe when we were growing up and we saw like a cowboy movie or something with like some badass, banditos in it. It looked interesting, and the lifestyle, the whole criminal lifestyle looked interesting. And then also in the 70s we had the Godfather movies.
I was going to say the Godfather.
Yeah, organized crime movies in general. I mean, a lot of people look at stuff like Menace to Society, and like Joey mentioned, it's not the Godfather. But I do see a lot of similarities with Goodfellas with this movie, which we'll get into.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a few. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was interesting before when you brought up Scorsese, Jerry. The Hughes brothers are a huge fan of his and of Goodfellas, and specific stuff in the movie was purposely done to mimic or copy how it was done in Goodfellas.
Yeah, that made sense. Because I mean, I noticed it.
You know. the introductions of all the characters, the narration of everything.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I saw multiple similarities, which kept me engaged because I love Goodfellas. It's my second favorite mob movie, next to obviously The Godfather. And yeah, I definitely saw a lot of similarities. And you were talking about that tracking shot with all the introductions. I mean, it's almost a carbon copy. If it was Ray Liotta's voice, it would be Goodfellas. So, but yeah, I definitely appreciate that they're Scorsese fans and they tried to emulate his style. At the very least, it kept me engaged on this particular watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a moment in the movie where I'm not focused. Like and I watched it this time on my phone. Like,
wow,
on your phone.
Yeah, I had it, bro. I had to get it in during the day at work when I had to get it in. I had downtime at work and I had to watch it on my phone. But dude, I was at one point I'm sitting there for so long just holding it like this to my face, like this shit, I didn't take any notes on this one. All
right, you just ruined the setup for a joke, but thank you.
Well, good if I was going to be the ass of it.
No, your phone was.
Oh, your mom was. What'd you say about my mama? But yeah, that opening scene I think is powerful, bro. Because I mean, listen, none of us here are black men, so we have not lived with that being always judged, always looked at with that connotation, especially like that scene in Higher Learning where we'll get to that next, where he's like, I know what you're thinking, just tell it to me. Like,
there's a purse.
And maybe if that lady wasn't following, that shit wouldn't happen. I'm not validating what happened by any means.
Essentially, I always looked at it as her prejudice towards them with following them around caused that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they would have just went in the store, bought the shit, and left, the argument would have ensued and they'd fucking both be alive.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I mean, it was the comment from the husband.
Yeah, I mean,
really
it wasn't even so much her
catalyst.
following him. It was that last fucking comment.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it-
she started it. I mean,
Yeah.
she upset them by following them, but she definitely wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, it's not
That
like
was definitely
black
the
people,
comment.
they do that too. I've been in many Korean fucking
Oh, sure.
convenience stores.
Oh.
They follow me too.
Fuck Korean
Yeah.
convenience stores, bro. When I was a teenager, I went with my fucking girlfriend at the time to Abercrombie and Finch and got followed around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I
Not
said,
just them, it's everybody.
yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh wait, now I sound racist about Asians. I'm sorry.
hey, whatever. Well, store owners. Let's not
right.
say
I mean,
owners.
it is what it is. If I guess you could say the way I fucking dressed at the time with baggy clothes and shits in their mind, I was being stereotyped to something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just, it is what it is. It's fucking annoying, but that shit's gonna happen.
I mean,
Hey,
just
I
when
mean,
we were kids, we fucking would hang out on the block, bro. We'd all be wearing like bubble coats, North Faces, dressing, of the culture, right? So, we all of our crew, we dressed similarly, like with
All right.
North Face bubble jackets. Wait, hold on, and we would hang out on the block, and we would get rolled up on all the time, chased by cops. Like we weren't doing anything,
Yep.
It would happen all the time, but they were somebody's bound to have some weed on them or something.
Right.
And it's like we weren't doing anything wrong, but we're getting rolled up on. It's not like we were there smoking pot on the block. It's not like we were there causing harm to anybody. And you want to know something? Guess what? J-Mac, remember what happened when we got chased off the block from the stoop? What happened a month later?
uh-oh.
Was
Right
that
Right next to Danny Balls underneath the thing.
the laundry thing you talking about? Or you talking about something?
No,
Huh?
no, a woman got raped.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah. Well, even a little further on, the dry cleaner on that corner, that lady got fucking murdered in her store.
Yeah.
And when there was 45 of us, like, look, my mom, right? I grew up with a mom. The first time I ever heard the N-word used was in rap music. No, but I'm trying to. My brain and mouth ain't really correlating tonight for some reason. Fucking, the first time I ever heard the N-word used was in rap music, right? Like, didn't even know it had a negative connotation to it until I was fucking a little bit older. So I grew up with a mother who's nowhere, like, parents not a prejudice fucking bone in their body, none of that kind of shit. My mother was like a fucking flower child, for Christ's sakes. Now, my mother would tell us that if she didn't know that I was in that group of kids, she would be afraid to walk by us. Just because of the way we fucking looked to outside people. She was hanging out with a woman from work who's coming by the house for like coffee and shit. They're walking. The lady sees us from afar and is like, "Could we go the other way?" And my mom's like, "Why?" "It's my son." And she was like, "Oh my God," like fucking, that's what it was. But
yeah,
with a movie like this, like, I'm not gonna say his name on here because the kid's fucking dead now, and I know that there's fucking people back home that want to idolize this fucking kid like he wasn't one of the biggest piece of shits in the world. But there was a kid in our neighborhood who wasn't like O-Dog to the extent of like killing motherfuckers, not when we were that age at least, but the kind of kid that like if you saw him, you didn't know if he was going to shake your hand, fucking stick you up, steal your bike. You know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We all had a crazy.
I had those encounters with him many times, and
and that fucking kid, like you never knew what the fuck you were gonna get.
Try to rob me,
Yeah, you never knew if he was gonna try to rob. If he was one day he was your best friend, the next day literally pulling a fucking shotgun out of his pants. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Back in the day,
crazy enough, his fucking
and I'm like, holy shit, is this guy gonna fucking try to rob me? Am I gonna have to start breaking fucking heads open on the block? Is he gonna shoot me? Who knows the fuck? And it's like, okay, is this even fucking worth it anymore? Like, what the
All right, let's call him Angelo. He's in my group.
That's hysterical.
Angelo. And he was crazy like that.
Not an Angelo.
Yeah, if you know this kid's real name, it's not even in the same vicinity.
No, that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but I mean, like, we knew guys like fucking AWACS in the movie, the fucking older dude who just kind of like watching the younger dudes do stupid shit. Like,
earwax.
Yeah,
fucking all of us had fucking like.
What about put his penis on the counter? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, fucking you knew guys like that who would do crazy dumb shit.
Yeah, let's say Angelo.
That's my father's name.
Okay, well, what about Angelo?
Fuck that guy.
Let's just call him that. The crazy guy that hung out with us.
Fuck that guy. Like, that's, I hate to say it, like that's one person that should be in a fucking ground. Fuck that. I'll say it on the air.
Oh yeah, nah, don't get me wrong. That's why when that motherfuckers up there want to act like he's a saint now. Like, oh, fucking this loss we had. That fucking, I know for a fact that bitch was robbing old ladies in the middle of the fucking night and shit. Like, come on, man.
God.
A saint.
Yeah, it's trying to like start Facebook wars with people if they fucking didn't act like, oh my God, how could this happen? It happened because when you fucking stick up drug dealers, eventually someone's gonna shoot you in the fucking face. That's life, bro.
Fuck that shit.
Could have told you that shit was gonna happen when we were fucking 10.
I'm sorry for being so mean about that, but I had a very personal experience with this fucking asshole that is not cool, So
yeah.
Like I said.
But I mean, yeah, back to the movie. But anyway, even that opening scene,
that's right, son, with Thug Life.
Even that opening scene, like, all this shit happens in the store, and like to me, it was almost kind of bringing back to the point, like, this is like a fucking kid. He fucking kills 2 people, robs the fucking money, and before he leaves, goes back to grab his 40.
Yeah.
Like, it was shit like that,
What about Kane putting his fucking hands on the goddamn glass?
And what's crazy to me, essentially to me, O-Dog is fucking Tommy in Goodfellas.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kane was supposed to be, I guess, more the Henry character, but Kane is a foul person too, but in comparison to O-Dog's craziness, you almost think Kane is like really a good guy deep down inside.
No.
Yeah, I'm with Bill.
Not that he's a good guy deep down inside, but when then they go from that to showing you his fucking father, and being the kid and the fucking wanting to hold the gun and all this shit, and seeing his father murder somebody in the fucking house, and he says like, that was the first time I saw my father kill somebody, but it wasn't the last time.
Right.
Like, they start showing you how all the fucking male figures in his life, even fucking Parnell, who was like the kid who kind of became his father figure,
right,
or looked out for him on the fucking street, fucking lets him hold the fucking gun and try the fucking beer, whatever the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying? And even his mother coming out and being a fucking crackhead, like when the same situation happens with fucking little Anthony and Jada Pinkett comes in, like the mother walked out and saw him out there holding the gun, didn't have no shit to say about it, just told him to go to fucking bed. But when Jada Pinkett walked in and saw that shit, she threw fucking fit, slapping the kid. So it's like,
rightfully so.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's, and even his mother, the chick who plays his mother.
It's juxtaposed.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal Joey's word, but because even the actress who plays his mother looks like fucking Jada Pinkett a little bit.
But, yeah.
You know?
And it leads into what I mentioned earlier, like the whole Jada Pinkett character with her son is, again, like you say, you know, look at the male figures. He's becoming this male figure now to this kid, and he needs to make a decision to go with her and do the right thing or not.
Do the right thing. Nice.
Hey, you know, but it's the morality factor here. Like, we all have a decision. You don't need to be out there doing this. You don't need to go out there fucking people up. And I mean, look what happened. I mean, if you haven't seen this film yet and you don't want to spoil this is the end of the movie. Or
If you like me, never saw it.
What happens now? He's gonna end up having a child with no father because of all the stupidity.
Yeah.
You know.
The fuck was that?
Holy shit!
And that's another one of my favorite lines in the fucking movie. Like, still to this day, I fucking chuckle when he says it. But when the girl calls him up and tells him, "I'm pregnant," and he goes, "So what the fuck you telling me for?" That shit always makes me laugh my ass off. Just the fucking like ain't my motherfucker, but just the way, what the fuck you telling me for? It's just, I always thought that shit was funny.
So funny because that's what makes me fucking cringe and appall at him. Like, I have no problem with the gangbanging, bro. Like, you know, I understand. I know what it's all about. But, bro, you just fucking, you knock the chick up and that's the way you respond. I mean, that's, you know, come on.
Well, he used a condom. Come on.
He had the Jimmy on extra tight. He
Extra
tells her
tight, right?
I had the Jimmy on.
What does that
extra
mean?
tight.
He bought smaller condoms?
I guess. I don't fucking
How do you get the Jimmy extra tight?
Well, I mean,
From the
earlier,
Korean store, man.
earlier when fucking oh fuck, why the hell am I drawing a blank on his name? The Muslim kid, Sharif. When Sharif tells him, like, you know, I knew a few dudes who slid up in that already. Like, it's already in his head that this girl's kind of like, you know, slutting around, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's just trying to pin something on fucking him.
Right.
But just for some reason, when he's just like, so what the fuck you telling me for? Like, that shit always just had me fucking dead.
Some of the writing in this movie is really good. There's one line in this movie that was so like thought provoking that I actually paused the movie and took like 5 minutes. And I'm sure, I'm sure you know which one it is.
Charles S. Dutton.
I believe that's who said it. Yeah.
All right.
Right.
I knew it. Go ahead.
The grandfather.
The do you care whether you live or die?
Yep. Mr. Butler.
And then Kane answers, I don't know. That reply, it shook me a little bit inside. Not in the how can I put this? It was I literally paused the movie because I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I've never understood anyone, no matter what side of the law they stand on, they almost always have an opinion on whether they want to live or die. So for this kid, this 18-year-old kid to give that answer, I mean, that's the kind of answer that like a grizzled army veteran would give, or an alcoholic, or, you know, somebody else dealing with some kind of either debilitating disease or a vice of some kind. He's just a normal, healthy kid living in the hood, and he gives that answer. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck have you experienced in your life that you give that answer? But then it's like, but then I kind of put two and two to, I kind of made the realization that living in the ghetto is almost like war. I mean, you see people die, you see your friends die in a ditch. It's the same as watching your friend die in a trench in France, you know? but it's not the enemy that's doing it. It's another black man. It's somebody from the neighborhood. So
and we're not dealing with like, oh, let's just shoot the fair after school. We're talking about fucking bloodshed, murder, meaningless killing,
fucking carjacking killing. The scene when Harold gets fucking killed in the carjacking, but even like the ridiculous, like, all right, your cousin just died. You fucking got shot yourself. And old dog comes to the house to talk to him. And right before his grandfather asks him about if he cares if lives or die or not, we're there. And any time they refer to old dog as Kevin, I always think that shit's funny as fuck too. But anyway, and old dog says that he doesn't think God cares about them and that look at how we live. It's fucked up around here. But he catches himself. Like, this dude has no problem fucking killing people in cold blood, but is respectful enough not to curse in front of an old man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
the couch with the
it shows the innocence that's still left and still in his humanity.
And then they go outside and they start joking around about him getting shot. Like, you were crying like a little bitch, and he was like, fucking. He's like, "Oh, I heard you stay up, kid." And he's like mimicking what fucking old dog was saying to him and shit.
And it's funny that in the end, look who gets killed: fucking Sharif and Kane, the two who were getting out.
Yeah. Sharif got like the real shit shot out of him.
Oh, yeah. He got the real shit shot out of him.
He did, Sharif. Man. Whoa.
You know who originally was slated to play Sharif was your boy Tupac. Tupac was supposed to play Sharif, and he couldn't get along with the Hughes brothers and actually got into a fist fight with one of them on set and was arrested for assault.
Wow.
And fucking they ended up, he left and Sharif ended up, the kid who plays Sharif ended up getting the fucking role.
That's Tupac Shaker. All right.
But even that kid, like, I love that line. He's an ex-knucklehead turned Muslim. He was just so excited to be learning about something that he liked. He was always coming at us with it. And even he's sitting on the fucking cooler. Like, why are you on the cooler? He's like, trying to stop you from drinking this poison.
Right.
Kane tells, get your salam alaikum ass up off the cooler so I can get a book.
I wanted to mention a point that J-Mac brought up earlier about how there's not really a true hero in this movie. There's not a protagonist.
There's no one likable. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, well, I won't go so far as to say no one likable. I mean, Ronnie, you could kind of get behind Ronnie. It's not like she really did anything wrong, other than fuck a thug 10 years ago or whatever. But it started to get me to think, because Joey and myself actually recently reviewed a movie on another show where Joey brought up a point that there was no true protagonist in that movie. And he's right. I mean, he has a valid point. And as I'm watching this one, I'm like, why did I enjoy that movie so much more than this one? Like, I still enjoyed Menace to Society, don't get me wrong. But the movie that I'm talking about is Cannibal Club. It's 2018 or 2019.
That's why you enjoyed it. Cannibalism.
Possibly, maybe because it was set in a horror theme and not in a more realistic, inner city theme, potentially. And plus they had money. So, and I knew a lot of kids with money in Connecticut. So I guess I probably just related to them more. But yeah, I started to think about that. Like, why is it that this movie that doesn't have a real antagonist bothers me more than that didn't have a real antagonist, or a protagonist, excuse me, hero, no good guy. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Joey? Since
I see Kane as my protagonist in this film. I mean, again, just because, again, gangbanging, obviously, and of the law of the United States of America that they're committing is not legal. But guess what? Everything is not the way it should be. And unfortunately, in this setting, you need to do what you need to do to survive, or you need to get out. And if you're going to exist in that place, right? It's just like the mob. Like, we go and we glorify over Tony Soprano as our protagonist, right? We go and we glorify when fucking Henry Hill's out there.
You know what? Joe, you're right.
Waxed the fucking cop and Brutsy in fucking the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right?
Joey, actually, one thing. I don't lose your spot, but Kane tried to kill somebody in this movie and didn't.
Well, he didn't because he sucks at shooting.
Well, yeah, but he tried to, but he
Yeah.
did not.
Well,
The
that's
other
why
guy
I'm
killed him.
right. That's why
So-
I say there's no real protagonist in this movie. There's
Right,
not really
Right.
anybody for somebody like me to get behind and
But-
say, okay,
But
this
what I'm
is who I'm
saying is
rooting
that
for.
he didn't kill a guy. He tried to, but
Sure,
didn't.
sure. But he also beat the shit out of a guy for, calling him out on getting his cousin pregnant. He,
Yeah.
he
Right.
did plenty of shit in this
My
movie.
point is,
He's
he
a
had-
complex character, he's
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. To me,
my point
Kane.
is, he didn't do the sin of murder,
right.
Yeah,
where
to me,
everyone else did.
Kane is the protagonist because you're going through the fucking. His character is a kid who's living the way he thinks he's supposed to live. And then he needs that influence from Ronnie and Sharif's dad, and even like his grandfather coming on with the religious shit to get out of that fucking life. Like if you grow up in that and every fucking adult figure in your life is fucked up, like your mother's a fucking junkie, your pops has no problem fucking killing people, the dude who looked after you is in fucking prison for life, and you're so fucking loyal to this guy that you don't want to fucking date Ronnie because you think he's gonna kick your ass and he's serving life without parole. That Tracy's like, he's serving life without parole. What's he gonna do? Like, just fucking. And you're around violence. That's how shit is solved. I mean, look, me and Joey didn't grow up in fucking Compton. Like, our neighborhood was not that fucking bad. But we were around shit. Like, luckily, neither one of us had a fucking cousin killed in a carjacking. But we have had friends that got beat up in another neighborhood or something, and now that's got to get handled. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, or friends set up and robbed in the park, and now all of a sudden there's baseball bats around. I wasn't there for that one. I just heard the stories. But fucking, that when you grow up in that, you think that's how the shit has to fucking happen.
Right.
And what's fucked up about it is that he finally kind of saw the light, saw I needed to get the fuck out of there. Like, the shit with fucking Ronnie talking him into it. And even going to Parnell and seeing how he grew while in prison to know, like, the way we were raised was fucked up, or however he says it. He's like, we grew up fucked up or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then, be a father to my son, like, fucking getting that approval from him to fucking go. Like, he needed someone to tell him this isn't fucking normal. You know what I mean?
That's part of the whole thing why he's the protagonist. Because even while the whole thing is you're rooting for him to get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Throughout this whole journey that he's on, you're rooting for him to get out. You don't want him to stay there and dwell in this fucking, gunfire of fucking battling and all the gangbanging. You don't want him to fucking be in that. You want him to get out with Ronnie and do the right thing, But it's a tragedy. It's a trauma. And,
I wanted to bring up, and especially Joey, I wanted to talk about the themes of fate in this movie. I mean, do you feel that Kane was fated for his end, the way the movie ended? Like, there was, I mean, because even when he had the opportunity to leave town handed to him on a silver platter, he still hesitated. And then, of course, what happens at the end of the movie happens. So it's like, I mean, how do we feel about fate, and specifically what this movie says about fate?
Right. I mean, I think it's definitely the lead in, like, you can be a product of your environment, or you can get out. Like, he was, like, J-Mac painted the picture earlier for listeners who didn't see this movie. I mean, everybody that surrounded this guy, except for his grandparents, who unfortunately he got to live with at a later point in his life, surrounded by murder, constant violence, constant drugs, constant womanizing. This was, what he was surrounded by, right? I mean, you can of course, the way he's going to respond to the girl is, what the fuck, why are you calling me? I mean, look at his mom. His mom was a fucking crackhead junkie. I mean, look at the surroundings, the way women were treated. I mean, but then you have that anchor that is his grandparents, and it's like, well, that's what got him through high school. This is the stuff. These are the people who got him through high school. But now you're a man. You're not in high school anymore. And what's going to happen if you live this lifestyle? As a kid, you can get killed, but as a man, it's not going to get any better, right? You know, like you might get pitied upon for being a kid. Like if you ever got into an altercation with somebody older, you know what I mean? Like when the little kids, you know, and when us would fuck with the older kids, right? Like they wanted to kick the shit out of us a lot of times, and they did, but they never took it to the extent because they knew we were younger. You know what I mean? So it's a kind of a parallel where you're not gonna fucking whack the little kid, you know what I mean? But then look at what happens, right? O-Dog's like, fucking kill anybody, it doesn't matter who's in the way. And then when the guys go for the drive-by on Kane and the crew, the little kid's right there. They don't give a fuck.
It's funny too because I was thinking that if this movie was made today in 2019, I think that ending would have been slightly different. I feel like it would have been a bigger emotional punch if it would have been Anthony that got shot and Kane actually survived.
Totally agree. Especially when they had that big wheel tire rolling.
Oh yeah, I mean they implied it. They definitely implied it, but obviously, you know, Anthony got up. But yeah, I feel like that would have been a way more emotional, like, you know, gut punch, because like I said, I wasn't as on board with Kane as like J-Mac and Joey. You know, his character didn't speak to me. I didn't see him necessarily as a sentimental character. I saw him as the least evil of a bunch of evil guys. That's what I saw.
I hear you.
So, yeah, so it was hard for me to kind of get behind him and root for him and everything. Obviously, I didn't really want to see him, you know, get killed or anything, but at the same time, like I said, that's why I brought up Fate, because I feel like the movie is implying that he was stuck in his fate, because I feel like even if he would have accepted Sharif's original offer to go to Kansas, I almost feel like something would have fucked that up. Like he was fated to die in the streets of Compton. Like that's just it. And I feel like even though he started at the end to take steps to get away from it, Fate was like, nope, fuck you. You're dying here. This is what I want for you. And
Fate being death, you know, him and death were playing a game throughout the whole film, basically, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how many times did he escape death in the movie? At least twice.
Final Destination.
Yeah. I mean, the carjacking, the police put them in the hospital.
Oh, the Mexican thing when they dropped the body
I
out.
was gonna say my favorate part.
Yeah,
yes, I love that.
Like
part.
the essays were cool. They took us to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but even that, like,
Even are like,
it shows that there is this, you know, they are human beings. Like,
well, and they're probably used to taking as much shit from the cops as black guys. So they probably see this. They understood what the cops' intention was. The cops' intention was for them to get the shit beat out of them, or maybe even killed in a rival neighborhood.
Like
they even.
Cops? I don't think they saw the cops though.
No, they didn't see the cops, but I'm sure that they probably told them, "Oh, the cops,
Yeah, the cops
us here."
fucked us up.
Yeah,
but they even try to bring balance back to that situation by the conversation that Ronnie has with Anthony when he's like, someone said that cops hate black people, and she's trying to talk him down. Like, no, it's not that cops hate black people. It's just certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like that part. Yes,
she tries to be that. I fucking can't even find the words right now. But basically, she's like a moral consciousness in this movie.
The voice of reason.
There you go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He understands, like, dude, like this is not the world. This is this one little blip on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's ghettos all around the world, of course, but like, if you think about it, right? Like, how big is this neighborhood? You know what I mean? That all this is going down in, and you can make the conscious choice to get out now that you're a man. Like, literally just get in the car and go.
And like you said, like, as a man now, he could do that. But you take O-Dog, who's a little bit younger and still not mature enough in his mind, that he calls Kane a sellout for leaving.
Yeah.
He's like, you sellout motherfucker, when she's there unpacking the fucking house and shit. Like, he's mad at him for fucking leaving this thing.
Of course, because, you know, he's what do they have? Each other. You know what I mean? And it's hard because you never know if your fucking brother's gonna turn on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very fraternal, you know, existence, because the paternal is not there, right? All the father figures are in jail. Look at all of the people, except for his grandfather,
except for Sharif's dead too.
In jail. and Sharif's dad too. You know,
Mr. Butler.
and again, look at Sharif. He's getting out. Oh, he was supposed to.
Oh.
Even
I feel way worse for Sharif than I do for Kane.
even what Sharif's dad says about Sharif being Muslim, where he's like, I'm no Muslim, but if Allah could help him to be a better man than Jesus can, like, I'm all for it.
Hell yeah.
That was a heavy
like,
line. Yeah.
I love when he tried to give him like the cassette tape to put in. Yeah, play this.
yeah. We ain't playing that Black Power shit in this ride. I love it. Tracy's a fucking fun character too. He's not as
funny,
the pimp of the group, and he's like the heavyset kid. He's a good football player. And then even he makes the comment like, "I got to get one of my kids." Like, how many fucking kids do you got? Just graduated high school,
Right.
Yeah. And remember they're kids. They're fucking kids. And Jerry, that question that you brought up that they asked, whether you want to live or die, I don't know. And that it runs so deep, that question, because like you said, yeah, people with all these problems that are hitting rock bottom or dealing with PTSD and trauma are asking this. But at the same time, you have fucking 18-year-olds that are going into college from Connecticut that are fucking bougie asking the same thing because their fucking YouTube channel didn't get enough hits, or just because they have, some kind of chemical imbalance, unfortunately, and deal with depression of some sorts, or whatever it may be. So it's a totally existential question, and it's a totally valid question to be asking. But on his level, it's not internal as much as it is external, where in the other situations, it's more of an internal thing, because his external is what's forcing him to question life. You know what I mean? Where if this guy was born somewhere else and raised in a different environment, he wouldn't be having that existential crisis. You know what I mean? So it just really shows the maturity / immaturity of what these kind of characters are dealing with on a daily basis. It's pretty.
Absolutely.
This movie is a pretty, I guess, again, I didn't live this lifestyle, but as far as I can see it, almost authentic, dealing with the themes that people in these situations would deal with. Obviously, the dramatics is amped up, but ultimately,
you could essentially take, because I've seen interviews with the Hughes brothers and stuff about this, and Kane himself is based off of one person that they actually know. Like, a lot of the stuff that happens to Kane happened to this person they knew in real life. So to me, you get a movie like this, and maybe you knew somebody who robbed a liquor store or somebody, but the shit didn't happen in a matter of a couple weeks. It probably happened in a matter of however many years. You know what I'm saying? The movie condenses it to make it look like this is 24 hours a day of this fucking, brutality.
What I want to know is, how is the videotape of the opening scene going to implicate Kane? It implicates O-Dog, actually.
Well, the fact that the cops questioned him and he lied and said he didn't know anything about it, it would make him an accessory easily. They wouldn't be able to get him for murder or robbery or anything, but easily an accessory to murder, which is like that's like 8 to 10 years.
Right. And being a black man in this system, he's gonna get with the book hard.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Like I said, he's a very complex character. You know what I mean? He's a kid himself. He just turned 18, graduated high school. He's a fucking kid, unfortunate product of his environment, like.
Well, he even, in the narration, he even says, what does he say? 2 weeks out of high school, and I'm already implicated in a double murder or some shit like that, and robbery, an armed robbery. Like, dude,
this
the fuck.
And Baymack, you're right. Like, the movie obviously is amping it up, but like they do have those moments where it shows him laying in his drawers in bed, where he's just basically in thought.
Yeah. Well, even like, this is the other thing that I always thought about was, essentially what happens to him in the end, like that karma, living that lifestyle can come back to you. But you would think what would come back at that fucking level are the guys, people of the friends of the guys who carjacked him and the cousin that they killed outside the fucking diner or whatever the fuck that thing was, the little food place, and not somebody that you just beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like, but even he says, like, I didn't expect him to come back like that, you know,
because it's basically his fucking brother-in-law.
Yeah, now you know, you just orphaned your cousin's child whose honor you're trying to fucking protect. You know,
it's an oxymoron.
Yep.
It shows the insanity of it all. And that's the beauty of killing him rather than Anthony here too. Like I agree with you that it would be more impactful dramatically, right, if Anthony died. But by having Kane die, I think the message is also sent out to the youngsters, like, yo, don't be like this character, you know? Where you can still get that message if Anthony dies, but by him dying, and especially that line, I never thought something that stupid was, you know, would have taken me out, but it did. And look at what took in the beginning. It was something stupid that he killed these two people that own the store.
Yeah.
So that's the whole message of this film. Don't be like these characters. You know, you do have morality in you. You're not fucking, you know, the devil as society might fucking try to dictate it, right? Like following them around the store and being stereotyped. But like, again, you know, when you're living in that environment, like if you're not protecting yourself, then what's going to happen? You know?
Yep.
It's unfortunate.
I mean, it's just a movie filled with bad choices. I mean, ultimately, we always have the choice.
Right.
There's always a choice. I mean, even if you're in the army and you don't want to take an order from a sergeant, hey, court-martial is still a choice, you know? So, and for these guys in the ghetto who think they don't have a choice but join a gang and, you know, shoot rival gangs and whatnot, it's like, hey, there's always a choice. And sometimes the choice is just not to carry a gun and you end up dying in the street. It sucks, but it's still your choice. And so whenever I hear a character saying shit like, oh, we don't have a choice, or, you know, they forced our hand, or blah, 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 it's like, I always take those kind of statements with a grain of salt, because we live in America. There's always a fucking choice.
Right.
Sometimes it's not an easy choice, but there is always a choice.
100% correct. You know?
This movie.
Fuck you for taking my idea. I was gonna call it Bad Choices or Poor Choices, the motion picture.
Let's get our final thoughts and rate it, because we still got one more to go.
All right.
Good conversation, fellas.
I guess I'll go first. Like I said earlier, I enjoy the movie. I think it's a very well-made movie. It has its limitations. The writing in certain scenes isn't always great. As Joey mentioned, the editing at times isn't always great, but overall the message is there. It's presented and delivered in a very clear manner. You know, there's no arguing what the moral of this story is. Like Joey said, don't do it. You've got a choice. Walk away. If I score this based on a lot of the other inner city type movies that I've seen, it's definitely above average, but I still wouldn't put it at the level of a Do the Right Thing or a Boys in the Hood. I'm still going to give this a solid 4 out of 5, though. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how often I'm really going to be able to revisit this, because like I said, it's just not my kind of movie. But for what it is, and the fact that I am the complete antithesis of anyone that's in this movie, I still enjoyed it. And, you know, like I said, well made, well done. Bravo, Hughes Brothers.
All right. And I'm actually with you with a 4 out of 5 here. I think it's a great film, but I don't think it's an excellent film, right?
Right.
You know, I think it does have so many great scenes, so many powerful messages. It's done so well, presented on the screen. But then you have, again, those moments where it shifts at the edits. And that's my major flaw with the film. The acting is pretty great, although there's a couple of scenes where the dramatics is just like a little OD, right? But again, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Now, I want to bring up the ending real quick in my final thoughts, because, you know, if you did kill Anthony, like Jerry mentioned, it would have been really dramatic and it might have worked better. But killing off your main character is too easy at the same time. Like, that's one thing I learned in grad school in fiction writing class. Like, if you have a character, right, and you want to end your story, killing them off is the easiest cop out. You know what I'm saying? Like killing a character has to be extremely necessary. Like in Romeo and Juliet must die. Romeo must die. Get it? No. You know what I mean? Certain time it must be. In this movie, it had to happen. But
and I actually have that in my notes. One of my notes is that this is really the only way this movie can end.
Yeah, it is.
And that's true.
Because it is supposed to be, I really do think it's supposed to be a message to what's going on in America. This is 1993. This is what was the riots in 1992?
91.
91?
The OJ riots, yeah.
Rodney King.
Rodney King riots. Was it Rodney King? OJ. That was the Bronco.
Yeah, the verdict. I think it was the verdict. Yeah.
Same time though.
Yeah, people rioted during the OJ verdicts.
Well, yeah, after they gave the verdict, you don't remember? They went crazy in LA.
Not the white people.
Not the white people, no, of course. Well, they went crazy in their own way, but still.
And Rodney King riots, 1992 Los Angeles riots.
92.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
I remember it was during the NBA Finals because I remember they preempted the game to show us Rodney King getting his ass whooped.
Oh my god!
All right,
the game.
Let's stop watching basketball to show you this.
Yeah,
a black guy getting his ass beat.
Oh man,
no, not cool.
Nope. So, but yeah, overall, like I said, I think it's a great film. It's a high recommend, and for me, it does have rewatchability. I'm not gonna pop it on, probably yearly like J-Mac does, where I'm gonna, sit down with it. But revisiting it for the first time in many, many years, yeah, great film. I enjoyed it. Complex character with, a lot to say to Hughes brothers in this one. So, they come out and they do Dead Presidents next, which is something that I want to revisit actually, because I remember loving it when I was a kid. I want to see it now though.
I remember liking that one. Yeah, that one I saw right away when it was new.
Yeah,
I saw that one too, by the way.
I was trying to think when I saw it. I saw it not too long ago. I caught it on cable. I rewatched it. I still enjoyed it. Yeah, I do remember that Halloween? Everybody had their faces painted like that to go by.
Yeah. I feel like that was a big part of why I loved it. That whole scene for itself,
Yeah.
But all right, let's kick it to you, Mac.
Oh man, I'm gonna give this a full 5 because even if it's just nostalgia reasons why I've seen this from like as a kid, like I said, just the sheer violence of it, I thought was so cool. And back then I wasn't watching movies to look at the edits and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff, even watching it now, it doesn't occur to me. Like coming in tonight, I honestly didn't. I never said, you know what, somebody's going to say something about the edits. Like it doesn't even like occur to me in this specific movie, But also why I give it a full 5. Like we talked about a lot of like the deeper meaning and shit in this, but we didn't even touch on some shit that to me is classic moments in this fucking movie, like I got these cheeseburgers and all that shit, and the fuck, he's like, he didn't fucking suck on this, you bitch ass trick, and he fucking shoots the shit out of this fucking base head, and he's like, y'all want some hamburgers? I got them from the base head. It was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then like one of my favorite scenes of all time as a kid was the fucking drive-through carjacking scene. With the, I want your stereo, your Dayton's, and the double cheeseburger. And the motherfucker's like, we're supposed to be brothers. He's like, oh, you trying to drop knowledge? Like all that shit when he's fucking sticking up the kid in the fucking drive-thru and making him buy him a cheeseburger.
Yeah. It's funny in the context of it, but then it's like also a scene that makes me like not like Kane, like you're trying to fucking get out of here and do things the right way, and you're over here not doing it now, sticking them up like, dude, come on, man. But
yeah, and I mean the stomping of what's her name's cousin, because not even so much when Kane does it, but when the grandfather comes out and old dog pulls Kane off him in front of the grandfather, be like, no, stop. And then once they go back in the house, he kicks him one last fucking time.
Yeah,
like just that foul shit. And the choice to narrate over the whole thing I always liked. And the last line of the movie where he's like, my grandfather asked me whether I cared if I lived or died. and now it's too late, and then the fucking song comes on. Like, you know, that's so I don't know if you guys know, but the guy who plays AWACS is MC8. He's a rapper from California. That's him rapping that song at the end.
Oh, all right.
The studio wanted them to get a rapper from California, he was big over there in New York. He wasn't like huge or nothing. I really only kind of found out about him because of this movie. But that song Straight Up Menace is the song he did for this movie. And it basically tells the entire story of the fucking movie if you actually listen to the words of it.
Oh yeah. I've got both of his records.
I was listening to it in the car, actually. I was listening to the soundtrack.
Yeah, but that too, but I'm a hip hop guy. Like, I don't expect Bill and Jerry to care about the music, but when fucking NWA's Dope Boys is on while he's fucking cooking crack in the fucking kitchen, it's awesome to me, you know? Fucking all that kind of shit. So,
and you know, that just real quick, that scene with the cheeseburgers again just shows the raw evil that sits inside of O-Dog, you know, and not just him, but the whole thing, everybody. I mean, it's just unfortunate that this murderous existence is a real thing for such young people, you know. But let's kick it over to Bill for his final thoughts.
All right. Final thoughts. I thought again, didn't relate to anybody in the movie. I didn't like the direction. The acting was kind of subpar for me, actually. I thought the edits, again, not good. I'm going to go with a 2.5. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, like I said, it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for us.
Yeah.
I will say Jada Pinkett was cute in 1993.
I remember even as a little kid when I saw it, I was like, Jada's bad, man.
Now she looks like a lake troll.
Then I was thinking, you know what I haven't seen in a long time, man? That Bill should watch? We should watch Set It Off.
Oh, God, no. I thought you were going to go with Demon Knight.
Nah, fuck that.
Hey, I love Demon Knight.
Yeah, I love that too.
This one, she's got like pineapples on the ends of her hair.
Oh.
Yeah. Nothing. I'm sorry.
Well, there it is, Menace to Society.
Oh, so you boys down with a 187?
Yeah, let's do it. Higher education, fuck that shit. Nah, but what am I talking about? If it wasn't for higher education, I wouldn't be here. But anyway, I'd probably be fucking, in a European jail somewhere. But anyway.
Turkish jail.
Turkish prison
movie for the night. Yes, Turkish prison where they serve falafel sandwiches. But what do we got up next? Higher Learning, 1995. This, I don't know if this is the second movie by Singleton, but Boys in the Hood is 1991 debut. Not sure again if this is his second movie, but 1995's Higher Learning. Bill from the DB.
All right. From the DB, people from all different walks of life encounter racial tension, rape, responsibility, and the meaning of an education on a university campus, starring Omar Epps, Christy Swanson, and Michael Rappaport. Yay!
Right. So, J-Mac, why did you pick Higher Learning?
I concur. Why?
When I first saw this, another movie that I saw as a kid, so middle school age was the first time I saw this. I remember my sister, she was in high school at the time. She saw it, came on cable. She told me, she's like, "Oh, check this out. This is cool." I saw it as a kid, and it became like my group of friends, like one of our favorite movies. Like, I remember when it got on like illegal cable. I had a buddy whose house we were at, and it was like on just all the fucking time. And as a kid, I really enjoyed it. I bought the DVD a few months ago. I was out somewhere, I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I haven't watched that in a while." I grabbed it. I put it on when I first bought it, but I kind of just had it on the background. I was fucking around my phone and doing shit around the house. And although I still really like this movie, I didn't recall it being kind of slow at times. And I'm like, literally sitting there like, isn't like this scene supposed to be happening now? And there was like all this shit in between that I fucking either forgot about or didn't pay attention to as a fucking kid. So there's parts of this that drag a lot for me now. I still enjoy it like overall, but mostly for like those highlight reel kind of scenes that I'm waiting for as opposed to just the movie as a whole, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes, so it does have some length to it.
Some girth.
Not as much girth as length, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, for me, this movie I definitely connect with because, well, I'm a fucking college professor.
I thought you were going to say you were a skinhead. I was like, what?
No, he was a black track star.
Got the hair.
I was Flojo, you know,
There you go.
flying through.
I was just thinking that we should probably remake this movie and have Don play Fudge's character. Get him like an afro wig and shit. It'd be awesome.
Oh man.
Is it Ice Cube?
Yeah.
Or he could play Remy.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, poor Remy.
Poor Remy.
Remy.
Poor Remy.
Yes, yes. I'll get into that.
All right.
But yes.
I definitely see some poor Remy in it, but we'll get to that. So yeah, when I saw this, I remember being like, wow, that was a good movie. I was an adult already, young, but probably between 18 and 21 when I saw this one. I didn't see it when it came out. So I thought it was a great film, and revisiting it now, man, that word at the end that comes across the screen, well,
I knew
I wrote it down in my notes too.
I knew it.
Pretty heavy.
what do you know?
That you would write that and Joey the fuck out of it.
Oh yeah, I have my clipboard right here. I forgot.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's ripe for Joey, that's for sure.
You know, we definitely didn't. Did we learn from higher learning? It's 2019, almost 25 years later, right?
We haven't learned shit.
We haven't learned shit.
And 25 years ago, Ice Cube was talking about the national anthem at a fucking football game.
right? Crazy.
Oh.
I was like, oh shit, I don't remember that.
That was nuts, dude. But you know what I liked about this movie, that it encompassed so much, not just straight up about race, but about sexuality, and about the bureaucracy of college campus. Because I mean, really, who are those cops? They're not even real cops. They're fucking, you know what I mean? Rent the cops. Yes, exactly. But we'll get into all that stuff. So, you know, I definitely, this definitely touches a place inside, since I am an educator and was a college student, you know? So I was on both sides of the desk, and I seen a lot of craziness, especially because, you know, I work in a predominantly black campus at, you know, I work at different campuses around Brooklyn. You know, one campus is predominantly full of Russian students, you know, on other campuses predominantly full of religious Jewish students. Another one is predominantly filled with black students, and another one is predominantly filled with Asian students. So like, depending where I teach, I have all different student bodies, right? And, you know, well, I'll go into my stories in a little bit. But so, you know, again, higher learning is, I mean, dude, me and J-Mac, you know, we grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. You know, it was mixed. We had plenty of friends that were Hispanic and black, but, you know, again, especially nowadays, the neighborhood we grew up, when our parents grew up in the neighborhood was full of fucking leather gangs like the Warriors. It was a fucking, you know what I mean? A working class neighborhood. Now it's a fucking millions of dollar home fucking neighborhood where if my family didn't have the house since 1926, we wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? So you've seen a major change in the place. Shit, I forgot what the point I was going to make was. Oh yeah, but when I was 19, I started working in the hospital, and like my whole shit was like I learned a lot about the Caribbean culture from people I met, things that I didn't from the neighborhood, and all these years later, I'm still submerged in it. So I've been to family parties of some of my friends that are from St. Vincent and stuff. It's like I love it. I love the Caribbean culture. It's phenomenal. So I mean, higher learning is like I didn't grow up with parents like J-Max that were flower childs. Like my dad, unfortunately, was like, "Don't ever bring a black girl home," in his barely English speaking voice, right? And what did I do when I went to college the first time around 18? I brought a black girl home. Like fuck it. So yeah. Back to the movie though. Again, it's connected with me on. I wasn't expecting it to, because I actually talked with J-Mac about it, and I was like, I don't really remember it. But when I started watching it, it all unfolded in my head, and I was like, wow. So I ended up taking a whole page worth of notes. But let me make my short initial thoughts shorter. Sorry, Jerry, let's get yours. And you're muted.
Jerry, you're muted.
And you're still
there
muted.
we go. Okay. Sorry. This movie I saw right away. I saw it in theaters in 95, only because I was hanging out with a couple of guys that wanted to see it. I had no real interest in it. And I kind of feel the same way back then that I feel about it now. There's too much going on in this movie to really have one moral. I felt like every time we were in a scene with Kristen, I would completely forget about Remy. Anytime we were in a scene with Remy, I would completely forget about Fudge. And it's like, it's one of those things that I felt like there was just too much going on to have one clear narrative. You know what I mean? I understand that the narrative is, college life and dealing with all the different personalities and cliques and everything else. I did enjoy that scene where that character introduced all the cliques, the nerds and the jocks and everything. I thought that was kind of interesting. Only because I saw that when I went to college as well. So, everything was click based back then. So yeah. But like I said, I just thought that there were so many different narratives going on between, Kristen's story, between Jennifer Connelly's character's story. And then you wedge Lawrence Fishburne in there, which we get very little backstory on him, which is kind of what I was most interested in. Like, I want to see a Maurice Phipps movie. I would love to learn more about him and the struggles that he went through as a youth to kind of make him the man that he is now. But anyway, but like I said, yeah, it just felt like there was too much going on. The movie is over 2 hours, and unfortunately, it feels over 2 hours. I'm not going to say I was bored. There were definitely some slower scenes, but I'm not a hater of dialogue-driven scenes or character-driven stuff that a lot of people might consider quote-unquote boring. I do not. But I still felt the length of this movie because it just felt like every scene was upsetting me in one way or another, which I know was their intention. That's the intention. It's to get the viewer, to light a fire under their ass, to wake them up and say, hey, this is the kind of shit that's going on, that's happening to your kids in college. Or to yourself if you were younger, this is what might happen to you when you go to college. So I understand that there is a distinct moral, but I still feel like it got convoluted with a lot of different subplots. So still a very good movie. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed this rewatch. I actually enjoyed this rewatch a little bit more, only because, when I saw it brand new, a lot of the people that later went on to become stars weren't stars yet. So like people like Michael Rappaport, people like Cole Hauser, people like Andrew Beniarski. I'm not sure how you even Brian Arski, who played Nako. You guys know who that is, right? Do you know what role he played about, 8 years later? Nako was the buff skinhead. He was
Texas Chainsaw.
There he is. He played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw remake, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but whatever. That's a conversation for another time.
Sorry, I was muted because someone's snoring on my couch.
Uh-oh. But yeah, so like I said, I enjoyed the rewatch this time because of seeing, all the people that I now recognize. I love Cole Hauser. Cole Hauser played Benny in Dazed and Confused.
Oh yeah.
Who's one of my favorite characters in Dazed and Confused. Absolutely loved him. And when he first says that line, when he first sees Remy, I forget what the exact line is, but I was like, that's Benny. I just loved it. It just brought back so many memories. So I enjoy the movie, but I feel like it gets a little convoluted at times. And if you're not a savvy movie watcher, you may lose the overall moral of the story in this one. Like if you're younger, if you're like 14, 15 and you're watching this, it's just kind of a cool, violent movie, with a lot of fucked up shit that happens in it. But obviously as an adult, you're able to comprehend and process a little bit easier all the different storylines that are going on. So, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's definitely a mature audience based film. Like you definitely need to be in tune, and it's really about the philosophical thoughts that are behind this film. I think that is what make this a strong movie, rather than because we'll get to things, the flaws, but we'll kick it a bill right now.
Oh boy. For me, I thought actually that this was the better of the 2 films I saw. I really liked the camera, the angles, the editing, the music, everything. I love the funk. I love the opening credits.
Yeah.
Watching it this time around reminded me of like a fucking Tarantino kind of opening.
Yes,
a little bit. Yep.
And that's why
I didn't like that.
Really?
I was not even feel
I
this being a serious movie, and I felt like I was about to get on the fucking Soul Train, baby.
like I said, like I hadn't seen it in a long time, even though I watched it a few months back. I really wasn't paying all that much attention to it. But to me, those opening credits, even though I like them, I don't feel like it fit the theme of the rest of the fucking movie.
Definitely not.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely not. But I did like them. Like if they were a standalone thing, like someone was like, "Here, look, I put these credits together. What do you think?" "Oh, that's cool. What's it for? A comedy?" "Yeah." "Okay, great." Or a fucking a buddy action film.
Little buddy. Dude,
hey, little buddy.
Let's do it. Let's do a buddy action movie called Little Buddy. Anyway, yeah. So I like that. I thought the characters were all likable. I really dug Larry Fishburne. I don't know. I really like this movie.
Yeah, I like bits and pieces of it. There are excellent scenes in this. There really are. But I'm from beginning to end, I think I prefer our first movie just because there's a singular message there. And I'm not saying that my brain is so slow that I get confused when there's more than one storyline, not at all. But it almost felt like a soap opera, how it was bouncing from one storyline to another.
I get you.
Yeah, so it's and that's just not me. I mean, some people might enjoy it, and that's great for them. It just doesn't really work for me. I like a singular narrative.
Right.
I like a singular moral to the story. What is the message the director's trying to give me? Whereas in this one, I felt like there were 3 or 4 messages he was trying to convey. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, Bill likes this movie better than the last one, so obviously it's working for some.
Yeah,
but
it's
like I said,
though the guy's name was Singleton.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Oh man, did you guys also catch that little bit of symbolism there at the beginning with those white kids that were at the gathering? Did you notice that they were pumping their fist, but it looked similar to us? Yeah, Sig Heil. It looked like a Sig Heil.
Yes.
I'm like, what is a bunch of white people hailing here? Holy shit.
And that's right before it opens with an American flag.
Yep, exactly.
We're the campus to that,
And that's what I started to think about. Like I started to think about, are white people sometimes perceived as racist even though they're not, because they're doing something that they don't realize is similar to something that's racist. Like I started to think about that too. Like, and even the way that I talk about people, like, you know, I don't consider myself racist at all. For fuck's sake, I'm Hispanic. But even sometimes when I'm talking to a certain, you know, group of people from a certain, you know, ethnicity, I start to catch myself starting to kind of, you know, start talking kind of hood if I'm with a bunch of black kids, or start trying to sound smart if I'm with a bunch of Asian kids, or, you know, shit like that. So, and that's even a form of racism. It's unintentional, obviously, but it's still there. I mean, it's in all of us.
I mean, it's a fortunate way society has, you know, handed around things. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. I mean, in society, especially America, we're talking about, because when you go to other countries, there's not this diverse mix that there is here. Remember, right? Especially when you're in the major cities on the coasts. You know, you have 350, 400 million people in this country. And out of that, there is hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands, of different nationalities in all these people. You know, I mean, everybody's going to have so many different values and ideals and morals that are different, you know, and eventually people are going to clash. It's just the way human beings are. We're pack animals. I mean, look, we fucking have families, right? Like, that's what we do. We find a partner and we procreate, right?
Yeah.
Fucking pack animals, you know? So we roll with our packs. I mean, look at this movie. I mean, nothing has changed since this fucking movie.
Wow.
It's probably gotten worse.
Yo, I'll give you an example of something that happened last semester, right? So, you know, on campus, I work in the resource center 20 hours a week, right? So I'm hanging out, and students know me as Joe. It's real chill. So, like, one of my students who was in my class is like, yo, Joe, can you run this paper through a Safe Assign, which is like the program where you upload your paper to make sure there's no plagiarism. So I uploaded it for her, and I'm like, it's good. Perfect. Okay. So she goes to class and hands it in, right? And she gets back saying it came up 100% plagiarized.
Whoa.
Now, this is a black woman that wrote this paper from the Caribbean, right? And I know her. She's my student. She's a fucking A student. She's a great writer. You know what I mean? And he fucking went down on her, you know, hard, bro. But you know why it came up 100% plagiarized? Because I uploaded the paper into the system already. So he didn't believe that she wrote this paper.
Because she plagiarized herself.
Right. It came up as it was already a paper, you know? And he was like, you can't write like this and all this shit. Bro, the things that I've seen professors tell these students, oh, you must be the first one in your family. I've seen them say, you don't know shit, throw their homework in a garbage can. Like, I'm like, what is wrong with you're supposed to be an educator? What is your fucking philosophy on education? Or fuck that, what is your philosophy on life, you piece of garbage?
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, I've seen some sick shit, bro. And like I said, you see how I mentioned earlier, like the campuses are diverse, right? So now for literature classes, they have to take them at specific campuses, right? So the people from all the campuses come together in those classes, and bro, the conversations and the things people say, bro, you wouldn't believe, yo. I had this one girl that was like about all the Harvey Weinstein, all that the shit that was happening. She was like, well, you know, she wants to get what she wants. Why can't he get his? A woman said this in class once. You had to see the uproar that happened. This was a religious Syrian woman that said this. All right.
Wow.
A religious Jewish Syrian woman. So,
well, she comes from a culture where men dominate women, right?
Yeah. And
so it's probably normal for her.
Right. It's fucking crazy. Like, you think sexual favors for a role in a movie is a fucking okay thing? Like, if both parties are consenting, okay, hey, do what you got to do. But not in the fucking instances that these things go down, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway, you know, long story short, this movie came out almost 25 years ago. As an educator in a higher education institution, this shit this shit goes down every day, man. This shit, nothing.
Dude, I was recently in college and I tested out of English. You know how? from writing papers. Every paper I wrote, I used a Metallica song's title. And the paper she loved most was The Bleeding of Me.
Hey, I learned most of what I know about Egyptian history from Iron Maiden. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow. But yeah, initial thoughts. I really liked this movie. I thought the acting was great. The talent was awesome. The actors, the direction, everything. I loved it.
Yeah. I loved stuff like, in that opening scene, right? It goes over, you get the cheerleaders, the bands, the pep squad, right? It's showing all these people like, this is America, right? And then the guy goes, you hear over the PA, how many people come here to change the world? And everybody's like, yeah. But like the irony is, no. Like, are you changing the world? You're changing things in people's lives. But are you really changing the world? Like, is anything ever going to change? They always say the more things change, the more they say the same, right?
Tell you what, though, as soon as I saw Jennifer Connelly, I'm like, oh, lesbian.
I got to be honest, man. This watch around, like I said, it dragged for me. This watch around, I didn't remember it dragging like that when I was a kid. Like I actually meant to do it, I never did. I was like, I gotta go check the box and see if this is like a fucking director's cut that I have or some shit that has like extra shit put in it. Because I don't remember feeling like these certain scenes just went on forever. It felt like, but honestly, I could have kind of did without any of that shit with fucking Kristen and just had a movie that was left to the stuff between fucking Remy and Malik.
And that kind of speaks to us as men too. I mean, because I'm the exact same way. I would have rather seen, Remy's story and let that be the overall narrative of the movie as opposed to Kristen. Because like I said, I know very little about rape culture. So it just didn't seem as interesting to me.
You liar.
Hey, shut up.
No, but and then I was thinking like, dropped. Was the middle school J-Mac just so like horned up and excited to see two chicks like kissing and shit that I was like really into that fucking storyline back then? Like now, what the fuck? I
hated that scene.
I have a question about that scene. Was that in her head? Like she was like thinking of the guy?
No. She actually fucked both of them.
Okay.
And they intercut it.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You got to experience her experiencing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right on.
Experimenting, I should say.
This is where the problems come in for me with this movie. Like Jerry says, like Remy, I want to know why he's so fucked up. Yeah, we find out his dad beat the shit out of him, but like it's a one-off. It's a one-liner. You know what I mean? It's almost like a throwaway, like bullshit cliche, as always. And that's what this movie's full of cliche.
Like, why was he so susceptible to joining a Nazi cult? Right?
Like.
They kind of went over that a little bit. I mean,
you see
earlier.
Remy had a longing to belong. He wanted to be a part of something. That's why he tried to rush that frat at the beginning. He tried to be friends with random people in the cafeteria or in the halls. He just wanted to belong to something.
Yeah, and when you're naturally socially awkward, you could see how hard it is for somebody like that to fucking fit in anywhere. And he was trying for a while. And the interactions he had with the group of black students with being, Fudge's roommate and them up all night and him fucking like snitching to the fucking security about their party so he could go to sleep, like getting put on that list. Like essentially those dudes did emasculate him. Like he was terrified of them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Almost everybody in this movie emasculated Remy in some way, shape, or form. He's just got that personality. He's susceptible to powerful men. And in this case, the first powerful man that gave him the time of day obviously was his father, but at least in college, it was Scott, the leader of the skinheads. So it's like, of course, if a powerful guy like that, a guy running a little gang of Nazis is actually showing interest in you, talking to you like a friend, inviting you out for drinks. I mean, that means a lot to guys like that. And that's why at the beginning,
though, he was kind of on the fence. He's like, what are you, a fag?
Oh, sure. Yeah. The initial invite. Absolutely. But obviously, once he understood what Scott meant,
he was already upset and on guard because even the white frat boys kind of shut him down.
Right.
Yeah.
When the girl went running out the house, he was like, "Oh, like, what do you say? Did you hit it or something like that?" And the guy was like, "Shut the fuck, get the fuck out," you know?
That was so fucking awkward. Like, who does that?
That's like just a fucking kid who's socially awkward and trying to fit in.
Dude, fucking cornfields of Idaho or some shit.
Exactly. That was my one problem with this movie. Is I've been to college twice, and never have I met people like this. So it's like,
I think I've met one or two, and I actually recently, I don't know if you guys saw the movie Lords of Chaos. There's a character in that movie that's very reminiscent of Remy. He starts out as just a misunderstood kid that wants to belong to something, but then the wrong person starts feeding information to him, and he turns into just a complete fucking psychopath. And that's, that's what happens to Remy. He's just the only people that are giving him the time of day are feeding him this racist rhetoric, and it's affecting him. And ultimately, coming from Ohio, probably the son of a racist, man, you can almost look at it as fate again. You can almost look at it as a theme of fate. It's like Remy was just, he's from Idaho. He goes to college, in California, to this fictional Columbus University. And he just latches on to the first group that gives him the time of day. And unfortunately, it's Nazis in this case. So it sucks.
Not to mention, remember, they are drinking, and, alcohol will affect you. You know what I mean?
It's the great uninhibitor.
What are you talking about?
Then you get the opening scene and then the end scene, the tie-in, where she goes on the elevator with Malik and looks at him, then clutches her bag, right?
Yep.
And by the end of the movie, she's doing Peace Fest, and we won't go to spoilers, but they're standing there and they finally come together, like, oh, this one, this one. Oh, we never talked. It was just like this awkward moment because it's like so this is what I wrote. I was like, she goes, we never smoke. And I'm like, he definitely remembers her.
Oh, sure.
You could tell, but does she remember him?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, right?
Nope. Because to her, he's just another black man.
Exactly.
Whereas the other way around, it's a white woman who was defensive with her purse because they were in the elevator alone. He's going to remember that shit a lot more than she will.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, who's the white frat dude is the one that violates her. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was waiting for that shit. Like literally the first time I saw her, the first time I watched the movie and the first time I saw her, I'm like, she's getting raped. I mean, there's no other way. There's no other possible direction for her story to go.
It's like once it's like, oh, you meet her. Oh, this is a woman's group thing, and it's like, okay, we know where this is going to lead, right?
Yep,
so
exactly.
It follows the stereotypes and the cliches, which makes it predictable in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I mean. I mean, I didn't predict the ending necessarily the first time I saw it, but I definitely kind of predicted the path that they would be going down. Like once it's revealed that Malik is a track star on a scholarship, it's like, okay, he's going to lose his scholarship. Like I literally saw all the steps coming, but not the ending. Like I definitely didn't, see Remy doing what he did at the end. But
and the strongest scenes are the ones where Larry Fishburne are in them too. Because they're not.
Oh, by far.
He was amazing in this.
Those are the strong morality message scenes, right?
One question: why did he find the need to put a Jamaican accent on that?
Oh, you got me there. I'm not sure. That's what I mean. That they didn't give us much background on him.
I took it as like a not Jamaican, but British or Canadian.
It was definitely an island of some kind.
Schedule.
I figured he was like West Indian, some kind of West Indian or something.
Yeah.
Originally, John Singleton wanted Sidney Poitier. I can't even say that motherfucker's last name. There you go, Poitier, to play that role.
He would have been too old.
That's what I was in. But then his second choice was Samuel Jackson. But the studio went with Fishburne because they had already worked together in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah,
Ah.
that makes sense.
Right.
And plus Samuel L. Yeah, that would have been an interesting.
Yeah.
His intensity is too high, where Morgan Freeman's intensity is more subtle.
Morgan Fishburne.
There we go. Put Morgan Freeman in that role.
Holy shit, Larry Fishburne. Yeah, Larry Fishburne. Sorry.
No, he was great though. He was one of the.
Yeah, really. I mean, my absolute favorite scene in the whole movie was after everything was said and done at the end, and Fishburne's holding Malik down.
Yes,
That scene was fucking powerful. It almost brought me to tears, dude.
Agreed.
Almost. That was a great
High
scene.
five.
Absolutely.
Let's throw some spoilers up. I recommend this one. Some of you guys, I don't know. Do you recommend, guys? What do you think?
I feel that this is a movie that everyone should experience at least once, whether you like it or you hate it. There's enough messages in here, male, female, black, white, Asian, whatever the fuck you are. I feel like there are lessons to be taken from this movie. Obviously, whether it does anything to change your immediate, life is, that's probably up to the individual. But I can definitely see anybody from any walk of life being able to pull something out of this movie.
Yeah.
Kind of want to bring this into the classroom.
Right. In fact, they do that where like they're showing all the individual like tribes, so to speak. They're like,
yeah.
There's
Fudge.
the white people, there's the Asians, there's the blacks.
He's giving the rundown of all the different groups.
Dude.
The clicks.
Oh.
Let's see. He goes, there's Disneyland, there's Chinatown, there's south of the border, and this right here, this is the black hole.
I was trying to be formal. All
Diplomatic.
I took notes.
Oh, man. And did anybody else want Jennifer Connelly to get naked?
Yes.
I was so pissed off. She starts to take her shirt off, and then the fucking scene fades out. God damn it.
Fucking fades to a dude.
We had to wait for Requiem for a Dream, and then she was like a crackhead. Ugh.
Yeah, you couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah. God damn it.
Does anybody else think that Remy was maybe a little slow in the head?
Dude,
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport.
Maybe autism?
Yeah, I was
think-
gonna say like on the spectrum somewhere.
Dude,
Yeah.
always. I thought Rappaport is a guy who is brain damaged, but he's an actor.
Well, yeah,
Always
all
thought
actors
that.
have something wrong with them.
Yeah, but I mean, really.
But I mean, the character of Remy seemed very. The character of Remy just seemed very susceptible to almost anything. Like I said earlier, anybody could have given him the time of day. If Fudge would have been nice to him when they first met, hell, he probably would have started wearing a Kango and listening to hip hop too.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate. But yeah, I totally like, especially like in the scene where he was trying to study and Fudge turns the music on. It's like, I've had shitty roommates like that. After a while, you can shut that shit off. Mentally, I mean, not literally. Like you could just, like after a while, I just didn't hear it. It just in one ear and out the other. So
at the same time, it's just fucking very disrespectful.
it's incredibly disrespectful, but at the same time, he was there first. I'm not gonna fuck with that guy, knowing that he's got a posse of guys hanging around with them, and he's been there for what, 6 years? They were saying, yeah, fuck that. He's got roots there. I ain't fucking with that guy.
Roots. Funny.
Oh shit, no pun intended.
You know who was originally cast to play Remy before Michael Rappaport?
Ooh, don't know.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh no!
That
And
would
he-
have ruined his career.
He ended up not doing it because there was a scheduling conflict with The Quick and the Dead.
Wow.
Oh God! Well,
Hey,
you
Sam,
made the
I-
wrong choice there.
And Rappaport was supposed to be the head Nazi, whatever. What the fuck is his name?
Scott.
Really,
Scott,
Scott. Yeah.
He was originally supposed to play him, and then when the shit fell through with DiCaprio, they cast the other dude to be Scott, and Rappaport got the Remy role.
That guy had such a Boston accent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. When I watched it this time around and I first heard his voice, like I said, I knew it was Benny, but for like a split second, I thought it was what's his face? Venom. I forgot his name.
Oh, Tom Hardy?
Tom
yes.
Hardy.
For half a second, I thought it was Tom Hardy, but then I'm like, oh no, that's Benny. That's absolutely Benny from Days of Confused. So.
Right. But Benny with a Boston accent.
Yep, exactly. You know, he sounds exactly like Benny. I mean, he must play the same character in every movie, just dressed differently.
Different cat.
He's a Cuban guy in the second Fast and Furious movie.
He's
Really?
Cuban. Cole Hauser plays a Cuban. Wow.
Never seen one of those.
I saw the first one and that's it.
That's the first two I watched. After that, it just, I don't know, got crazy.
I like his dad, Wings.
Oh yeah, Wings Hauser's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Like I said, there's just so much going on in this movie and so much little things that you can pick out. Did you guys notice some of the signs that those feminists had?
Yes, I did.
One of them fucking said dead men don't rape.
Yes, dead men.
Are you fucking kidding me? You call yourself a feminist and you're okay with killing men to prevent them from raping? That's holy shit.
No,
man. Well, that's
you gotta crack a few eggs
feminazi.
to make an omelet, man.
God damn. Well, the same argument could be said that dead women can't be raped. Well,
they can make
Not if Bill's around.
yeah, that's true. Shut up. But I just thought that was such a scathing little sign to have up on a college campus. It's like, how do you expect men to react like that? Like, I would have gotten into an argument with that woman if I was there. Literally, I would have pointed her out. I'd have walked right up to her and been like, are you fucking joking? I mean, I would have started this huge argument. I probably would have gotten my ass whipped by 11 lesbians, but whatever. I just cannot let that shit slide. I mean, I understand, rape is fucking awful and no woman should have to live with the fear of that. But to say that a dead man can't rape, it's like, that's fucked up.
Plus, I mean, another flaw with the film is that was obvious, another telegraph. Like, when she meets the girl and it's like, oh yeah, don't walk around by yourself. This is the blue light system,
Immediately said lesbian.
Yeah, but forget about that part, but it's just like, the inevitable is coming. You know what I mean?
I thought for half a second, the first time I saw it, I thought she was going to rape her. I thought Jennifer Connelly was going to put something in her drink.
For sure, yeah.
I knew it was going to come from those dudes, with the drunk white girls.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Oh, Joey's got his notes out.
Oh, and did you notice who her friends were too?
Bridget Wilson.
Sonya Blade and Sharknado 2 lady.
Yes, Sonya Blade.
And what's her name? Carrie Ware, whatever, however the fuck you pronounce it. Yeah, she was the younger friend.
I thought that was what's her face? Oh God, what's her name? From oh Jesus Christ. Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter in that Last Action Hero. What's her name?
Oh,
her.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of the name either.
It looked like her, right? She
was a little bit, yeah.
In Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
I've seen Sharknado 2 so fucking much that I recognized her instantly. I'm like, holy shit!
All right.
Yeah.
Oh man,
there's a lot of things, like, why are you going to school? For money or knowledge? That's what Cube asks, right? And I ask my students that all the time. Like, what are you here for? Like, why the fuck are you here? And I wish somebody asked me that, like, point blank. What do you want to do for the rest of your life that you're going to spend all this time and money going to college to where you get a career that you'll make a decent salary and not want to blow your fucking head off after working there for the next 40 years? Nobody really asked me that point blank growing up, and I wish somebody did.
Yeah, definitely.
Literally.
It'll get you thinking. Even if you don't come up with an answer, at least it gets you thinking.
Yeah. And that's some of the positive attributes about the film, right? I love the content. I love the themes that they're talking about, the messages that they're giving here. I just feel like it's kind of a little cookie cutter, but it's a run of the numbers. Not that I don't care about the characters. I love Malik. Like, I love the character of Malik. And the end is fucking a tragedy, dramatic, and they made the right choice. Like Menace to Society. In this one, rather, all right, spoilers, we put them up already, right? Rather than him getting shot, they kill his love interest, played by a young Tyra Banks. And
Also cute back in 95.
oh, yeah.
Also looks like a lake troll now.
I haven't seen her in a very long time. But anyways, shit, now I forgot. I'm thinking about trolls in my head.
Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks. Oh yeah, so the ending, and like you said, and that's what makes that scene powerful.
That's what I mean. That's why I was saying that I felt like if Anthony would have been the one in the first movie, it would have been a little bit more powerful, because ultimately, if you want to punish somebody, you don't kill them. You kill the people around them. You want them to live a long life so that they can, realize that, oh, this person's not in my life because I fucked up. Right. Killing someone's easy. That's the easy part. It's killing the people around them that really affects them. So that's the only reason I was saying about the first movie.
I don't think he meant to kill the girl.
Oh, no, not at all.
The line of fire. But that's the thing. Those guys weren't looking to kill a kid. If he was in the line of fire, okay, whatever, it happens. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, and again, with the movie's message and the way it ends, it was important for him to be the one that dies. Rather here, by showing him live and then again meet back up with Kristen and Professor Phipps. Mm-hmm. Right? It just adds the exclamation point, and it works. And the ending is strong. Now, again, I think a lot of it is predictable, a little bit cookie cutter and cliche, but ultimately, I still think it's an entertaining movie that has an important message at the end. And again, all these years later, society still fucked, and I don't think it'll ever change, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a valid point. Until people get together and try to find the similarities in our lives and not try to harp on the differences, we're always going to have this. There's always going to be social imbalance, and it sucks, but it's also human nature, unfortunately. Whatever we don't understand, we hate.
After 9/11, there was a lot of camaraderie, and you felt that. But yes. Now that shit is gone, bro. And we're at one of them fucking points where shit is absolutely crazy out there in America. And, I don't want to go into crazy politics, but obviously we're talking about heavy-handed topics tonight, trying to make light of it as well. So, and that's another thing, like, people, like, don't want to talk about this kind of stuff, It's like, fuck that. This is life, bro. This is the way the world works. Like, we're going to address it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about race, and we're going to talk about discrimination. Like, don't be scared. It's okay to talk about, It's okay to say the word black. Don't be scared. Like, it's okay to say, this is a white person. This is a black person. It's the reality of it. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? But because society's so fucking barbaric in a way still, are we ever gonna fucking fully progress? No, and that's human nature.
Yep.
So final thoughts on this one, guys. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah. Final thoughts.
I feel like these, like I said, these topics are so heavy-handed. We could just keep going on it.
Oh hell yeah, we could depress the shit out of ourselves if we really tried.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna say I'm kind of where J-Mac is. I even have it written down in my notes. One of the final notes I wrote down here is this movie is not nearly as good as I remember it. And it was the same thing with J-Mac. I was actually in college when I watched it the first time. So I think it just spoke to me a little bit more. And I was seeing a lot of the things at my school at the University of Pittsburgh, at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. I was seeing a lot of the same similarities, cliques, and, racism and everything else. So it spoke to me a little bit more back then. It still speaks to me today, obviously, because most of the themes of this movie are still, in existence. The Me Too movement, Carrot Top as our president, all that shit. So it's just,
I love chairman of the board.
This movie is going to speak to many generations. Just like you said, Joey, we're not likely going to change. No single movie is going to get society to open their eyes and, suddenly love their fellow man. But at the same time, movies like this are very important, even though it's not my kind of film. It's not something that I, will revisit too often. Same as the first movie we talked about. But there's still validity in these movies, and they definitely still have a message. Even if in this movie, I feel like the messages get a little muddied at times. But overall, I still really enjoy it. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5 and say that it is a recommend that everyone should see this movie at least once.
All right. J-Mac?
I'm gonna give it the same score Jerry did. Like I said, this time it dragged for me. I still really like it, and I still like the fight at the cafeteria when Busta Rhymes screams and his hands are shaking by his head. Like, I have a group of friends from middle school that scene, that shot will be iconic forever. You know what I mean? Like, that's what that meant us at the time. Like, how fucking cool we thought that was. And you know, all the themes in it and stuff, you know, it all makes sense, but it is predictable. It is, you know, and now as an adult, I could see that stuff a bit more, but it's still enjoyable, you know?
Right.
Like when they show up at the frat house and they pull that dude off the couch and they got him outside and they're making him apologize, and he's like, you know, tell her my Black Queen, Mother of the Earth, or something. He's like, I can't remember all of that. Like, the kid's all fuck, like, that shit is fucking funny. You know, and then, but it's a cool, like I said, that all that shit with Kristen, like, I could have did without it. You know, I understand why it was there, and yeah, it fits. But if you would have cut that out and knocked, you know, 20 minutes off of this, it'd be like a fucking 5 out of 5 movie probably for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where I'll chime in my initial thoughts. I think that's where it would lose one of it, the tripod. You know, this movie is a tripod. You have Michael Rappaport's character. It's more of a, not a tripod, I guess. Yeah, it's a tripod. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with that. Yeah,
because Ice Cube's character, I think, goes behind Malik rather than stands up there with the tripod.
No, yeah, it's Kristen, Malik, and Remy are the three.
Yeah, the three freshmen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is a story about, you know, race. This is a story about sexuality. But I think at the core of it all, this is a story about self-identity and how you live your life. You know, like, think of the things that Tyra Banks says to what's his face, Malik, right? Like, you're choosing to do this kind of shit. Like, you went out there and fought these fucking people like an idiot. You didn't have to do this stuff. You know, it's not, you know, you're the one making this in your head, everybody against you. You know, it's there, but you just got to deal with it. You got to fight it, you know? So, I mean, yeah, it's not the best movie. I agree. But I enjoy things like how I could Joey the shit out of it, where, you know, you have the white supremacist in the end, Michael Rappaport, saying, I'm the man, you know, I own you. Da, da, da. And like, what's above his shoulder? A fucking portrait of George Washington.
Yeah, got that.
Things like that, I think are pretty interesting.
But even that, like, he's screaming all that shit, but it's because he has a gun in his hand.
Right.
Because when he didn't have the gun, he was terrified of Malik.
Exactly. He's a bitch.
You know? Yeah, and that's what Malik says. You're just a scared white boy with a fucked up haircut.
Yep.
And Tyra Banks' character and Wayne, Malik's roommate, are like probably the two, and, you know, the professor are like the most decent people in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that dude Wayne is legit, probably, you know, he's
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, well, Jennifer Connelly, she was up to something. I didn't trust her. Fuck yeah. She
wants some blonde bush.
Yeah, well, like, but even Wayne, like, you know, was looking out for Kristen. He was good for her. He was a good dude to Malik. That scene with Malik where he's like, what do you think? I'm Remy? You think I'm a white supremacist? Like, I'm not fucking like that, man. Like, he thought Malik was his buddy, and he couldn't understand why, you know, Malik was pushing him away. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, it has to do with self-identity. Like, okay, I have to roll with my people, quote unquote, and I can't be with you anymore. I'm sorry, bro. Pound it. I'm out. You know, self-image is a huge part of this film. Remember, think about college, right? You want to look good, bro. She bleaches her hair. That looks horrible.
Awful.
Horrible. You know?
God, why do women think that to be blonde means to be more attractive?
I fight with my wife about that shit all the time. I'm like, why? Like, it drives me crazy. Blonde. I'm not
No,
against
I
blonde,
like blondes, but
I
not
hate when girls who are pretty, like, good-looking brunettes feel the need to have blonde hair.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
Especially when it does that to their fucking hair.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, did you see how frizzy and nasty it looked because she bleached it? Oh, that's awful. Jesus.
But I'll leave my final thoughts with a little Joey-isms. Putting Deja's dead body at the feet of the statue of Christopher Columbus.
Oh yeah.
Symbolic in many ways, right? And this one, I don't know, maybe I'm really stretching this one, but fucking
How giddy he gets.
why does he keep offering them peppermints?
Yeah, right.
Because their breath stank.
No, he's offering Altoids their little white mints. So they're basically eating the white man.
Jeez.
Dude, go fucking kill yourself.
Yeah, you're stretching.
Right. It's Dr. Pheeps's way of symbolically, showing that he's defeated the white man. And look what he's doing. He's living life, living it the way on his terms. So
I think he just likes Pac-Man and he's eating white dots.
We're down. Pass it to Bill Casanelli. Let's get your final piece.
All right. On that note, why is he smoking a fucking pipe in everyone's face?
Because it's funny.
No, for real. I thought the movie was fucking amazing. The shots were great. The cinematography was great. The editing was great. The acting, the talent. God, I've always had a crush on Tyra Banks, guys. I'm sorry. God damn.
Oh, she's cute.
Cute.
Oh yeah, I loved them when I was a kid.
Sorry,
I think after this, the next. Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sorry, my rating 4 out of 5.
No.
Oh
No, I think after this, the next thing I saw Tyra Banks in as a kid was when she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Dude.
The swimsuit edition.
Remember that? Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. She was always in my top 10. Also, the fact that they had this great talent, great cinema, great everything, the writing, the music was great. I'm sorry, but I love that funk.
And it worked as exposition for all the characters in the beginning too.
Yes.
The only music I didn't like, and it's not that I don't like the song, it's just that I thought it was cliche and pedantic, was fucking the fact that they played a Tori Amos song during the rape scene. Of course they would play a fucking Tori Amos song during the rape scene.
I'm sorry that you recognized that was Tori Amos.
Oh,
I still can't get past the pedantic.
Yeah, I don't know how much you guys know about Tori Amos, but like half of her songs are about rape.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking, I just thought it was so cliche. It's like, oh, come on.
I thought that was Little Kim the whole time.
They could have just played fucking Date Rape by Sublime.
Nice.
Even stupider. I don't know. That was the only song choice that bothered me. Just like I said, just because it was cliche. Otherwise, I agree with Bill. Soundtrack is great.
Yeah. So this movie, I really was all in. I really love this movie.
Nice.
There are some bad things. Yeah. Again, I think Michael Rappaport looks like a guy with brain damage and everything he's in, but he does. Even Deep Blue Sea. He's like this really big, smart scientist. He's like, yeah. Anyway, 4 out of 5.
Nice. I did have one question that I didn't bring up.
Sure.
What do you guys think was after everything happened, Remy's gone, blah blah blah. They go back to show the Nazis, the skinheads, and Scott has that sly little grin.
Smirk. Yes.
Yeah. What in your opinion?
Because
what's going through his head when he smiles?
I'm thinking, yeah, we'll get another one.
So you think Remy was just like a bullet for him, like not
when the rest of the crew is being like, that was real white power or whatever, and fucking yelling Remy like whatever they started saying, like that was a win for him. Like, yeah, Remy's fucking blew his brains out, but that's kind of like the first fucking strike in the battle. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Another one.
I thought about that, but then I sat there with it for a moment and I was like, you know what? it kind of shows the opposite to me, where he's sitting there and the two of them, like the henchmen, are like, yeah, wipe out, but really it's not. It's a loss because now they're one man down in their apartment, really, and those two guys over there don't have the balls to do what this kid does. They probably won't if it came down to it.
But I mean,
the funny thing is,
you gotta go ahead, Jerry.
I was just going to say that I think the other two wouldn't do it, not because they're cowards, because I think they're a little bit smarter. I think the reason Remy was able to be manipulated was because he was a little slower. The white kid from Idaho.
I agree, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Nako wouldn't do that because I think he understands the repercussions of killing random people. Whereas Remy didn't think about what happens afterwards. He just thought about, fuck it, I want to shoot some black people.
Right. I also want to know, like, who painted that swastika on their floor?
That's what I'm thinking. Well, I got two things. Since you mentioned the swastika, I'm thinking, like, all right, you're Remy and you're fucking, you feel like all these groups are rejecting you, but then you show up and it's like, once you start seeing swastikas and shit, like, isn't that kind of like, maybe this isn't the group for me? Like, I understand, the black guys don't want to hang out with me, the frat guys don't want to hang out with me, but I don't know if you go straight to Nazi after that.
Nazis.
But also, I think Scott is on like the ultimate power trip at that point, where it's absolutely. Like, dude, I'm the leader of this clique, and I managed to have this kid do this for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did it because I told him to. I got that kind of control.
Oh. So
the totally the shit.
American History X.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why, like, American History X is like, all right, I'll get a new guy to do it next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What'd you think, Jerry?
I kind of thought what Joey was thinking, that he was just another cog in the wheel and that he's easily replaceable. Right. But now that I hear what you're saying, I kind of see that as well, that he actually did kind of regret it. But at the same time, he's the leader of that group, so he can't really show dissatisfaction. He has to show that, yes, I approve of what Remy did, because ultimately he did, but I don't think he approved of Remy taking himself out, because, I mean, think about how pissed off he was that Remy quit school.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so
he was...
So, you could take it one way or the other, ultimately. It was a smile, it was a smirk, or it was more just a way for him to hide his anger.
But you know what I took it more as than anything? That even though this happened, this racism is still going to go on. These white supremacist ideals are still going to go on. And just, this is the thing about this movie. It shows how, like, a fucking small, little, stupid fucking blowout could turn into a ridiculously huge fucking problem that affects a multitude of people. And in a case, a whole college campus or a whole neighborhood. You know what I mean? Not to mention the double standards going on here where the cops are constantly favoring the whites and not the others, right? So, I mean, all this shit embedded in the movie makes you think at the end when you see that scene, and it could go either way depending on how you feel that day. Could be the instance and your mood in the moment. Not, it's a very open-ended scene, and I love it for that. But
I don't know, man. I think that Remy really became a true engineer at the end. You know why?
Why?
He built a bridge from his mouth to the back of his head.
Jesus.
And it's funny because he's a Nazi.
It's funny because we hate him.
Although I gotta be real quick before we go, when fucking Deja gets shot and she starts coughing the blood up.
Yeah.
That was some foul. I remember as a kid being like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, who was the third person? They said 3 people died. Was it?
They show one person get clapped, like just a person in the crowd fall.
I was thinking it was Jennifer Connelly.
No, I was thinking it was the two gay guys making out that might have got.
Oh, they got beat up, dude. Not killed.
Beaten to death. I mean,
no.
Oh, those guys, yeah.
Well, look at the fucking the hate crimes. I mean, when they jump the salt and pepper couple on Halloween.
Why did you use finger fucking quotes for it?
I have no idea. I just do that sometimes.
First, he used finger quotes.
Sometimes when I want to annoy my wife, I do it at like times that make no sense at all. I just, as I talk, I do it at just to piss her off anyway. But fucking like the mask they were wearing were almost like, fucking blackface kind of shit. It's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a raw scene, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I want to know who the third person.
But do you guys think that they raped the girl in the salt and pepper couple?
Fuck
I don't think they did.
I don't.
Really, I do.
I thought they were going to, but I don't think.
Yes,
because he says, "Let's go." Like you hear the girl screaming, he's like, "Let's go eat some cake or something, or some pie or some shit like that." And all I can think is The Rock with the Poo-Tang pie and shit.
Cake.
Shows them like push her to the side, and they walked away.
No, they fucking are beating the black dude up. Remy takes the mask off because he's kind of freaked out by what's happening. Right. You hear the girl screaming, and then fucking Scott runs up to him and goes, "Let's go eat some cake." And then they fucking cut to a different scene. The girl is still yelling when they go to a different scene.
I don't know. I was pretty sure that I saw them push her down and leave. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing that. I mean,
but it could be. Could be. You have to read.
Either way, I don't think they did.
I do. Remember, what was it? Pink Floyd, The Wall movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Run Like Hell?
Sure. No, I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah.
So
that was a little bit different scenario, though. They were under martial law.
That's right. When they're running against the chain link fences, right?
No, it's the part where the black white girl in the car, and I'm thinking the same thing. They take him out, beat him up, and rape her. Same thing, I think. I don't know.
I just don't think so because they're on a college campus. B, at least one of them is a student. So it's not going to be hard to get a DNA sample from them. More than likely, the girl's going to report it since she's with someone.
But they have masks on.
Huh?
They have
I understand they have masks on, but DNA doesn't lie, ultimately. Right. Assuming the cops have their DNA on file. I understand that's a thing. But I don't know. I feel like, again... I feel like Nako and the rest of the gang were smart enough not to do certain things. Like none of them picked up a weapon to shoot any minorities, and I don't think any of them pulled their dick out at any point during that scene. So that's just me,
Well, they made Remy.
I might be giving them too much credit for being smart, but I'm just saying that they're just smart enough to not do something that stupid on a college campus.
They made Remy like drop his gun and walk away.
Oh God, Remy, poor Remy.
Poor Remy.
Yeah,
just misunderstood.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, ultimately, if Remy didn't off himself and he had to go to trial, he's obviously going to be found guilty. His background is not going to have any bearing on his verdict. So, but I still have that little bit of sympathy because, like I said, a kid from Idaho, suddenly he's in Southern California. It's like that's got to be like a whole nother world to him. And he just wasn't prepared.
Right.
Too bad.
And he liked metal.
It must be a good movie if we can sit here and talk about it for over an hour.
Good movie.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of layers to peel back. Oh, absolutely.
Like an onion.
All right. Well, it's been a great night, but we got to do one more thing before we leave.
What's that?
Mr. Venom, what do we got next time on Slice and Dice Strikecast?
All right. For episode 51, I
Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood. Boys in the
Hood. God, no. Nope. Sorry. Unfortunately, we're going back to horror.
Yay!
I wanted to do something that I've always wanted to do on some of my other horror podcasts, but it's kind of hard to get people on board. But what I wanted to do was basically talk about two movies that hopefully none of us have ever seen. And I also, Joey actually brought up the idea to me about, because for those who don't know, I'm on Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space. I'm a big fan of Godzilla and those kind of movies. And Joey actually made the joke of my pick is next. So if you want to talk about that stuff, you can. But ultimately, I already have a podcast where I talk about that stuff. So like I said, what I wanted to do, I'm still going to stick with monster movies, but they're going to be more traditional horror. And what we're going to talk about are two lesser known monster movies from last year, 2018. Hopefully you guys haven't seen them, because I haven't. I purposely picked them because I've never seen them, and I want to talk about something that we've never seen. So first movie is going to be a movie about, and from the trailer, it looks like a fucking like sci-fi monster movie, but it looks moderately interesting. So let's give it a shot. That's going to be a movie called It Came from the Desert, and it looks like it's about giant ants. So there you go. And then the second movie we're going to talk about is a found footage film called The Monster Project. This one looks like it's a movie about a film crew who's looking to interview kind of insane people who think they're monsters. But then the people that show up, it's a horror movie, so we kind of know where it's going. They actually are monsters. So yeah, those are two movies from 2018. Like I said, they're lesser known movies. Hopefully none of us have seen them. They're both available on Amazon Prime. So listeners, if you want to kind of follow along with us as we discuss them and you got Amazon Prime or an account that you can use, go ahead and check those out. Like I said, they're both from 2018 and I expect them both to be awful, and I can't wait to talk about them.
All right.
All right. So we'll make up a little banner and put it on the page so people know to watch those movies ahead of time, because never heard of them.
Me neither.
Nice. Good. That's what I wanted. That was my intention. So,
Cool.
So this could backfire or it could be awesome. We'll see.
All right. Sounds like an episode Don and Ellie's going to want to be on.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised
Don
if
has to
you've seen
take
one or both of those.
Don's gonna have to take a break from slinging dick all over California.
It's hard for a thug out there.
He's just piping bitches. Like
It ain't easy being a pimp.
He's got the Jimmy on extra tight.
Yeah, kid. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Slice and Dice Shredcast, episode 50. What a good time tonight. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. BC Casanelli, J-Mac, Jerry Cortez, Mr. Venom.
Yo.
Slice and Dice Shredcast, we're out.